4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City. A fusion of politics, commentary, entertainment, and sports. Steve and his team bring you the latest news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, there's breaking news out of Israel, and earlier today the body of a Palestinian teenager was found near Jerusalem, and let me just give you the headlines are all, and the media is covering it as an apparent retaliation or revenge killing. There is absolutely no proof. We're going to speak in just a little while with the Deputy Minister for Benjamin Netanyahu, who's also a member of the Knesset, and he is going to tell us there is no investigation is complete. They have no idea who killed this teenager. Nobody has any idea, yet the media is going with it as an apparent retaliatory killing for the death of the 3 teenagers at the hands of Hamas. And what's worse is our administration is jumping to the same conclusion that this was an Israeli or Israelis who killed this Palestinian teenager. And I want you to listen to the presidential spokesman and what he had to say about this right now. Watch.
The United States condemns in the strongest possible terms the heinous murder of Palestinian teenager Mohammed Hussein Abu Khadr. We send our condolences to his family and to the Palestinian people. We note that Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has called upon law enforcement authorities to work as quickly as possible to identify the perpetrators and motives behind this heinous act, and we hope to swiftly see the guilty parties brought to justice. We call on the government of Israel and the Palestinian Authority to take all necessary steps to prevent an atmosphere of revenge and retribution. People who undertake acts of vengeance will only destabilize an already volatile and emotional situation.
Okay, joining us now is Bill Crystal, and Bill, welcome aboard, sir.
Good to be with you, Steve.
I'm just bothered. Of course, condemning the act is fine, but to me, the implication is the same one that the media is giving us. Only the media is being more blunt about it. That this was an apparent retaliation. And how the heck do they have any idea who did it or why they did it when they don't know who did it?
One expects the media to be somewhat irresponsible. Apparently, maybe some neighbors claimed they saw Israelis snatch this teenager, and they're going. So the media often jumps to conclusion. It's often wrong, but that is one thing. That's just the media, and there is media bias here, I'm sure. The Secretary of State of the United States, the spokesman for the President of the United States, jumping into this, assuming that something happened when it's not clear what happened. It's really. If I seem somewhat incoherent or should be stammering about it, I'm just amazed by it. One thing, I was in government for several years, in the White House for 4 years. One thing I was taught, if you're a spokesman for the United States government at a senior level, you are extremely careful about something like this. This is an incendiary situation, obviously, in Israel itself, in the territories. You are incredibly careful. Obviously, you say you're sorry that a young man was killed, but you are waiting and you deplore, to denounce, of course, anyone who murders anyone, but you're waiting to get more information, and you urge calm on everyone. That's it, period. You don't assume that this was a revenge killing unless we know more than we seem to know, which I don't think we do.
Right, and by saying, that Benjamin Netanyahu is the White House expects him or is told the White House that he's going to get to the bottom of it, and I mean, it could have stemmed from the Palestinian territories, and the PA might have to do some investigating on its own. So I think just mentioning Netanyahu and saying what they said just puts the onus on Israel to disprove it. But
I would also say this, and Netanyahu did say, I think himself, that of course they're going to get to the bottom of this, insofar as I think the body was found in West Jerusalem, so there's no question that there's kind of Israeli, Israel has some considerable authority here, but they are going to get to the bottom of it. You know what? They get to the bottom of murders of Arabs by Israelis when that happens. They have prosecuted people in jail right now with life sentences for that. I mean, that is a difference between the reaction of a democratic Israeli government that doesn't approve of the murder of anyone and the Palestinian Authority, and Hamas, as it goes without saying, they cheered the kidnapping and murder of these boys, and even the Palestinian Authority, which, some of whom sort of denounced it and most of whom did nothing or privately even not even so privately, basically went along or even cheered it. So, I mean, in a way, I think the different reactions highlight the differences between the two societies, the two cultures.
Yeah, and going on the word of a neighbor or neighbors who said they saw this or that. I mean, could anybody say the Jenin massacre? I mean, you know, come on, we've been through this and down this road time after time with the ambulances, with the bodies being taken in and taken out and reloaded. I mean, how many times does the media have to be fooled? Maybe they want to be fooled.
Well, the media is easily fooled and wants to be fooled in some cases, and obviously a lot of people have documented the bias of a lot of the Western media in Israel and in covering Israel. Again, for me, though, that's a different level of problem, and people like us can discount it, and frankly, a lot of Americans might not discount that. I mean, it does damage media bias, but for the government of the United States, for the Secretary of State of the United States, to be so cavalier and I think genuinely irresponsible, it is shocking.
I want to let you let everybody see a little confrontation, if you will, back and forth between you and a fellow panel member on ABC This Week with George Stephanopoulos. Let's roll that.
This country should not go back to war. We don't need armchair warriors. And if you feel so strongly, you should, with all due respect, enlist in the Iraqi army.
That's a very cute line, Katrina.
No, but it's real.
A million
look at the displaced.
Thousands of people being killed. Can I just make a point?
A million Iraqis have been displaced. You read that story, humanitarian aid. For what we have done to that country is a crime.
We have done to that country? What we did to that country. Let me respond.
And you responded brilliantly. That was Katrina vanden Heuvel, of course, and you responded brilliantly because you responded with facts.
I tried to. I was a little surprised. We were discussing, John Boehner and suing the president, and she had her set-piece speech ready, I suppose, on Iraq. She believes that what we have done to that country is a crime. She thinks that America is responsible for all those deaths. Everything was fine in Iraq, I suppose, when Saddam was there. Everything would have been fine if we'd never intervened. There were never huge wars or conflicts in the Middle East before we intervened, I suppose. Saddam never killed tens of thousands of his own citizens or invaded Kuwait or had a huge war with Iran. So, I mean, if that's her view of that's her view, that's fine, and I'm happy to defend the alternate view, which is that it was a difficult war. We didn't find some of the weapons that we thought we would find, and the war wasn't conducted brilliantly. But at the end of the day, A, the American military behaved honorably. B, we went in with good motives. It was a just war. I think a necessary war. Some people will say, no, maybe we didn't have to do it. Fine, that's a legitimate public policy debate. And thirdly, President Bush adjusted strategy, and we ended up with the surge, and we ended up he left office with things in pretty good shape in Iraq. And President Obama himself said at the end of 2011 that things were in very good shape in Iraq. And it's his pullout and his allowing of the Syrian civil war to spin out of control, and his general signal that we're sort of checking out of any global responsibilities that I think is now causing this terrible, terrible situation there. So I'm happy to debate that. I think it's, I don't know, it's fine. If Katrina wants to come on and, be on a panel, use being on a panel with me as a way of appealing to her, I suppose. Look, she felt strongly that she wanted to say what she wanted to say.
She looks at you and she sees Dick Cheney, George Bush, Donald Rumsfeld. She sees all the neocons in her mind.
You know what is striking to me, Steve? I mean, look, people can be, God knows, they can be against the Iraq war, they can be against doing war in Iraq right now. What's striking, liberals once, and there are liberals who have that view, but there are liberals who have that view with a sense of the tragic side of it, which is that, a lot of people are going to get killed over there. Maybe we would only make it worse. Maybe we're not capable of making it better. Maybe we should just stay out. That's a sober judgment people can make. She is utterly cavalier about that. It's as if 160,000. I mean, didn't liberals used to care about their fellow human beings? 160,000 Syrians killed. What's happening in Iraq today? Shouldn't liberals at least say, you know what? I really wish we could do something, but I don't think we can. What's striking to me about her, and I think this is emblematic of a certain stripe of liberalism, they don't even care, and they don't even pretend to care anymore. It's like the crassest kind of selfish isolationism that people used to denounce the American right for.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. And I don't know if you'll be on the panel with her next week again or not. But,
it's not my call. I show up. They tell me to show up. I show up.
There you go.
Whoever's there.
You can handle yourself, Phil. You don't have to worry about that. That's for sure. All right, the poll that's out, and this runs in with the Supreme Court rulings, not only the ruling this week, the 5-4 on Hobby Lobby, but also the 13 now 9-0 rulings since 2012 that have gone against this president, this administration from the U.S. Supreme Court. The recent Quinnipiac poll out today ranks presidents since World War II, and Obama ranked last, and Ronald Reagan ranked first. I take some heart in that anyway. What do you think?
No, I think it's important. I saw that poll early this morning. I was really struck by it. I mean, for Obama to be ranked worse than Bush, and he's the sitting U.S. president, is pretty striking. And I think it does suggest that voters were very disappointed with George W. Bush and obviously partly elected Barack Obama's repudiation of Bush. And Barack Obama still benefited in 2012, I think, by the sort of being able to run against a memory, maybe an unfair memory, but a memory of George W. Bush. For voters to have pivoted means that Barack Obama's policies have been so mugged by reality, both in foreign policy and greater exposure to what he's trying to do at home, whether it's Obamacare, infringements on religious freedom, and so forth, that people have decided, that he's worse. And that is pretty startling. And I think it is heartening for 2014. And really going forward, it means Republicans have a chance to say, look, we tried this experiment. It did not work. We need to go in a different direction. It really puts a premium on Republicans now having a chance, having an opportunity to really lay out their own agenda.
How'd you feel? Any surprise when he came out the same day as the Hobby Lobby defeat and said, I'm going to reform immigration?
I mean, does he feel no responsibility for what's happening incidentally on the border? Why are those people showing up? Why are the parents sending their kids on buses up here? Because they were kind of told, basically, by the president, you would be fine.
The encouragement is still there. Bill, great to talk to you, sir. Thank you very much, as always.
Thanks, Steve.
Take care. Bill Kristol, ladies and gentlemen. You want to weigh in on any of these topics we're talking about or others? Do it through social media. The panel's next, but you could see on the screen how to weigh in.
Meet John and Nancy. Like many people, John and Nancy have spent their whole lives working hard, saving their money and investing wisely, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But the reality is, today's world is not the same as it was. John and Nancy's stocks have taken them on a serious roller coaster ride, and it's all but destroyed their retirement funds. Their house is not even close to being worth what they paid, and to boot, their middle-class paychecks no longer cover their costs. All that hard work and smart investing has gotten them nowhere. In fact, they are no longer thinking about when they will retire, they're wondering if they'll retire. Then one day, John and Nancy heard about a man named Tom Hutchison, a veteran of Wall Street for over 2 decades. Tom noticed that the wealthy invested differently than normal people, and their methods seemed to be a secret they didn't want to share. So Tom left his job, compiled the strategies, and published them in the controversial book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns. John and Nancy immediately picked up a copy, began investing, and never looked back. Thanks to Powerful Secrets, John and Nancy now have investments that pay up to 20% a year. They learned about unique tax-advantaged investments, and their favorite chapter revealed a strategy that anyone can use to turn $50,000 into $1 million. Now, John and Nancy have control of their financial future in this new reality, and they have peace of mind about their investments that they never had before. Best of all, they are back on track to a secure retirement. To get your free copy of the book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns, simply visit www.myfinancialage.org.
The odds of becoming a successful NASCAR driver, 1 in 125 billion. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism, 1 in 68. I'm Jamie McMurray. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Politics, commentary, entertainment, sports, news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The Malzberg panel, columnist at Breitbart.com and American thinker C. Edmund Wright, and president of the Galen Institute, Grace Marie Turner. And before we get to you guys, I want you to hear from President Obama, something he said yesterday, and I'm sure he's going to be saying it a lot more. Let's all watch. All right, maybe the president doesn't want to talk to us. Mr. President, we love hearing
and
what
they criticize me for this. Boehner sued me for this. And I told him I'd rather do things with you, pass some laws. Make sure the Highway Trust Fund is funded so we don't lay off hundreds of thousands of workers. It's not that hard. Middle-class families can't wait for Republicans in Congress to do stuff. So sue me. As long as they're doing nothing, I'm not going to apologize for trying to do something.
Here is a man who is viewed, Edmund and Grace Marie, here's a man who's viewed by the American public as the worst president since World War II, and he doesn't get it, or he gets it and he doesn't care, and he goes out there and he's in your face. He doesn't stop. He's pushing this line that he will act no matter, because the evil Congress won't. And Grace Marie, is he going to stop?
Isn't this unbelievable, Steve? I mean, he's really, that is so arrogant. It is so unpresidential. It is like a 3-year-old throwing a temper tantrum. He is not working with the Congress. Of course, you're not going to hear that from him. But the House has been passing bill after bill after bill, hits a stone wall when it goes over to the Senate because Harry Reid will not bring it to the floor. And of course, nothing reaches his desk, but it's not the House's fault. It's the fact that Harry Reid is blocking everything in the Senate, and the president should basically throw this kind of a temper tantrum. So sue me after losing, by the way, before the Supreme Court 13 times is unbelievably arrogant.
Yeah, Edmund, I mean, he just shows, most people, Bill Clinton would never have let it get to this point, but Bill Clinton would have long ago, acquiesced. He would have found middle ground. He would have calmed down. He would have seen the writing on the wall. This guy just gets hardened the more he loses, the more unpopular he gets.
No, Steve, you're absolutely right. By the way, Grace Marie is absolutely correct in saying that this is a 3-year-old tantrum. It's very, very unpresidential, to say the least. But what Clinton did after the 94 midterms, which was very similar to the 2010 midterms, is Clinton then governed basically with Newt Gingrich. And I guess you could say he actually passed the Newt Gingrich agenda, which was the contract with America. And guess what? It worked. Obama's done the opposite. He's doubled down on his, far left agenda. Nothing's working. Everything's a disaster. And the American people, bless their hearts, finally waking up with that poll, the worst president since World War II. He clearly is. I'm surprised this many people realize it.
Yeah, well, sooner or later they were going to start realizing it. And his approval poll and poll numbers, trustworthiness, policies, do you like them? Those numbers have been tanking for a long, long time. And now, to have Ronald Reagan at the top, where he belongs, and Barack Obama at the bottom, it does give you hope, Grace Marie, doesn't it?
It does. And I was particularly interested in the issue by issue poll of the Quinnipiac survey, because it showed
That's easy for you to say, by the way, yeah.
Particularly on the economy. I mean, what do we think about Ronald Reagan? He was very bold with foreign policy, but he also really revitalized the American economy. He understood what was wrong with the economy, how we needed to get out of the Carter doldrums of hyperinflation and high joblessness. And Reagan pulled us out of that because of his economic policies. And remember when the president met with House Republicans soon after he was elected, after his first election, he basically said, I don't agree with you on your economic policies. Well, guess what? The American people agree with Reagan, not the president. And that's really the fundamental reason our economy cannot get going. And the American people, I think, are responding to that in this poll, because the economy is not recovering, and it's not recovering because of the president's flawed policies.
Yeah, Edmund, let me just take this a little left of the outfield here and go off the beaten path. And Hillary Clinton recently said, hey, if you want to know how an economy should be run, Obama's trying, but hey, my husband, and again, I think she's gonna have trouble running on her husband's record. I mean, not that it wasn't good in some respects, but she's got to run on her own. But my husband, and then she said, compare it to Ronald Reagan. And I sat there shocked because I'd love to compare it to Ronald Reagan with what Reagan started with coming out of the Carter years and the internet boom that Clinton was the beneficiary of. But I found that very interesting that Hillary said, look at the Clinton economy compared to Reagan as the way that she might govern.
Well, it's interesting. Barack Obama chose Bill Clinton to speak in Charlotte at the Democrat National Convention precisely because Clinton had governed over a successful economy. And you're right, the high-tech bubble was part of it. But again, what Clinton had done was he was a more conservative president for 2 or 3 of his years of his second term than George W. Bush ever was. So the Clintonomics that ended up working were really Newtonomics. They were conservative principles, as was the case with Reagan, and that's clearly not what we have with Obama, nor what we'll get with Hillary.
But Steve, I think it's also really important to recognize that when Bill Clinton was first elected, he was a tax and spend president. He was traditional liberal, and in 1992, then in 1994, when the Gingrich Congress came in and when Republicans took control of the Congress, is when Clinton had to then begin to work with Congress and to compromise. They did welfare reform, and a lot of very positive things happened. But it also, you cannot divorce the Clinton years from the fact that there was a Republican Congress that he had to work with and did work with in really getting the economy going.
Yep.
Yeah, and this is a president who Democrats and Republicans alike will tell you has virtually no relationship with anybody in Congress on either side of the aisle and has no interest in forging those relationships. All right, stay where you are, folks. We're coming back. See Edmund Wright and Grace Marie Turner. The Malzberg panel will be back, and I want to talk about the border. I want to talk about the medical crisis. I want to talk about a congressman being told you can't see the kids in the camps. I want to talk about people being told don't talk about these sick children or you'll lose your job. When we come back on the Steve Malzberg Show, only on Newsmax Television.
These are real-life emergencies. They happen suddenly, unexpectedly. You can be lost, alone, or in control. You can have help at the push of a button.
This is Medical Alert. How may I help you?
Announcing Medical Alert, the personal alarm system. Medical Alert is there for you in minor emergencies, too.
Hello, this is Medical Alert. How may I help you?
I'm not feeling well. I'm lightheaded.
Do you need an ambulance, Julie?
Please, no fuss. Can you call my neighbor, Gladys, for me?
Right away.
I know my children worry about me being alone, but I'm not really alone with my Medical Alert.
Call now for your free consultation to see if Medical Alert is right for you. You'll get this keychain flashlight free just for calling and be eligible to get this second emergency button and this locking key box free with your order.
For your complete medical alert system with the free keychain flashlight, call 1-800-531-6754.
Keep watching for a special free offer from Dr. Andrew Orden.
I've spent nearly 30 years looking for an effective, instant breakthrough to reduce the appearance of wrinkles that can be applied topically instead of with surgery or invasive medical techniques. And I finally found it with Derm Exclusive's Fill-In Freeze.
The Fill-In Freeze is definitely a secret weapon. It just instantly fills the crow's feet area around the smile lines and smooths out the whole complexion.
The powerful 4-peptide combination in Fill-In Freeze eliminates the appearance of wrinkles by visibly restoring skin to its natural smooth state instantly.
I want to look like I'm 25 again, don't we all? Every morning I put the Fill and Freeze on. The lines around my eyes are completely gone. I look 15 years younger. It gives me a lot more confidence.
Now it's your turn to see your own instant results with Fill and Freeze and pay only $39.95. But act fast because Dr. Orden is giving the first 500 callers a second full tube of Fill and Freeze free. That's nearly $120 of Fill and Freeze for only $39.95.
With Fill and Freeze, you can take away the wrinkles. I'm able to put it on my crow's feet and wrinkles I was getting, and they totally disappear. I look 10 years younger.
Call now and this special offer gets even better. Today, Dr. Orden will also send you his micro-peel resurfacing pads, intensive repair serum, and collagen lift moisturizer. A $200 value, absolutely free.
I know you're wondering what Derm Exclusive can do for you. Well, you don't have to wonder. You can order it right now and try it for yourself, absolutely risk-free.
Call now and we'll even upgrade your order to express delivery free. Call 1-800-662-1971 and claim your free Fill and Freeze, plus over $200 in bonuses. That's 1-800-662-1971. Call now.
Hi, I'm Miranda Kahn, here again with another Newsmax Now update. Well, we may soon know more about climate change. That's thanks to a little help from NASA. The space agency launched a satellite from California today. Its mission? To study carbon dioxide in our planet's atmosphere. NASA hopes test results will provide information on greenhouse gases and how they affect climate change. The satellite is designed to orbit the planet 438 miles above the surface. Pretty cool. Leaders from Europe and Iran prepare for another round of negotiations on Iran's controversial nuclear program. Iran's foreign minister met with a UN official ahead of the scheduled talks. Iran is resisting demands from the United States and Europe to curb its nuclear program. The negotiation marks their 6th round of nuclear talks. And that's your Newsmax Now update. Now back to the Steve Malzberg Show.
All right, and we're back with the Malzberg panel. I know we're back with C. Edmund Wright and Grace Marie Turner. And guys, protesters today just outside of San Diego turned back 3 busloads of illegal immigrants after the town's mayor warned that federal officials were using the town as a safety valve for facilities that are already swamped. So they turned the buses away. And this is in combination with a congressman, Representative Jim Bridenstine, Republican from Oklahoma, who said that he was not allowed to see the camps where the illegal children are being housed. And then you have a report of a government-contracted security force, believe this or not, threatening to arrest doctors and nurses if they divulged any information about the threat of contagious diseases at a refugee camp housing these illegal children at Lakeland Air Force Base in San Antonio. Is the public finally going to fight back? Are they finally going to get sick, as we saw outside of San Diego here, Grace Marie?
Absolutely. In fact, in Virginia, here where I am based, there was a community college, a closed community college that the federal government was going to use to house some of the illegal immigrants. And the town met, and 1,000 people showed up and basically put a quash on it, would not let this happen. So the American people are tuned in and really figuring out what is going on. The lawlessness that is going on that this administration is allowing is absolutely outrageous, and the American people are now seeing this in their own communities, and they are not standing for it.
Edmund?
No, absolutely. And, you know, I would tie this to the same thing we saw with the Bureau of Land Management, you know, and the rancher. Citizens stood up against the federal government there. They did that today near San Diego. You know, I think we're just going to see it continue. I mean, when the government's not going to enforce the law, you're going to see, you know, brave governors do it, and you're going to see citizens not even waiting on their governors to do it. So I think this is a very encouraging sign, but at the same time, it really shows we have a federal government and a ruling class that is at war with the very country that they want to govern.
You know, that's so right. And remember that the the pictures where we first saw this huge wave of illegal immigrants and the children that are coming to this country was because Breitbart posted some photos, and they also didn't want us to see those photos. And here we have the federal government trying to keep the American people in the dark about what's going on. Outrageous.
Yeah, while they tell us that the kids will be sent back, but everything they're doing indicates, and for the most part saying, other than the statement that they're going to get sent back, saying they'll be sent back if they can be reunited with their parents. How on earth are you going to reunite a kid who came over the border from Central America somewhere originally? How are you going to find his mother and father and send them back? It's just not going to happen.
Well, I bet, Steve, the reason they didn't want Congressman Bridenstine to have access is he would have probably seen that what's going on in there, in addition to the very poor health and disease situation, is the fact that we're sending lawyers down there. We're lawyering these kids up so they can't be sent back. The next step will then be to import their parents because we can't, keep families separated. So we're just importing liberal voters is what we're doing, which is what the Obama administration wanted to do from day one.
It's just
Yeah,
shocking.
absolutely. Go ahead, Grace Marie, briefly. Go ahead.
I have to say, Steve, every single week we come up with some new crisis, and you think, how can it get any worse than this? How can it get any worse than first Obamacare, and then Benghazi, then the IRS, and now these waves of immigrants? They're just continuing to cover up with more.
I'm afraid to say it, Grace Marie Turner and C. Edmund Wright, I'm afraid to say it, but Obama likes to say, you ain't seen nothing yet. I hope that's not the case here. Thank you both for being on the Malzberg panel. Appreciate it. And we'll be back with more of the show, folks. But first, you're not going to want to miss this hour's American Moment. It takes a look at the fall of Saigon.
When Saigon, the capital of South Vietnam, fell on the 30th of April, 1975, America's long conflict there may have ended, but it took decades for the nation to heal its wounds. In 1973, President Nixon orchestrated the Paris Peace Accords, bringing to an end America's involvement in the Vietnam War. America's POWs returned home, and all seemed well until March of 1975, when Senator Ted Kennedy led Congress in cutting off all aid to South Vietnam. Within weeks, Communist North Vietnam reneged on the peace accords and invaded their neighbors to the south. Without U.S. support, South Vietnam fell to the Communists, and throughout South Vietnam, a bloodbath ensued as hundreds of thousands of South Vietnamese who had backed the U.S. were massacred. Empowered by the events in Vietnam, Communists in Laos and Cambodia soon toppled their pro-Western regimes, and Southeast Asia became a killing field, with the genocide of an additional 2 million people. You're watching An American Moment on Newsmax TV.
I won this 55-inch TV for less than $30 on DealDash.com.
I got this $1,200 computer for $100.71.
These aren't actors, they're real people who got real savings at DealDash.com, the fair and honest bidding site.
On DealDash, I got this $349 mixer for less than $25.
iPads sell for as little as $5, laptops for $10, and professional cameras for as little as $20.
I won this iPhone for $8.48 at DealDash.com.
I got all this for less than $50 on DealDash.com.
Try DealDash today. If you don't win, get your money back, but hurry, everything must go. Go to DealDash.com now to start bidding.
In my first 4 months on DealDash, I won 104 auctions.
And shipping is always free.
Visit DealDash.com and start bidding today.
Attention parents and grandparents of young children. Have you received this special notice from Gerber Life? If not, you're urged to call this toll-free number now because Gerber Life is accepting applications for their affordable grow-up plan. It's easy to help your child get off to a good financial start for just pennies a day. Free information will be sent to parents and grandparents who call now, or you can apply right now over the phone if you'd like. The Grow Up Plan gives your child $10,000 in whole life insurance protection now, then doubles automatically to $20,000 later at no extra cost. Later on, your child can buy more, up to $100,000 in total protection, regardless of their health or job, 10 times the original amount. The Grow Up Plan also builds cash value over time that you can borrow from later. Help give your child a head start for just pennies a day. Don't wait. Call now for free information.
Call 1-800-417-7939. Call now for your free information or go to growupplan.com now.
Politics, commentary, entertainment, sports, news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
And it wouldn't add to the deficits because we pay for it in part by closing tax loopholes for companies that are shipping their profits overseas to avoid paying their fair share of taxes. Seems like a sensible thing to do. It's not crazy. It's not socialism. You know, it's not, you know, the imperial presidency or no laws are broken. We're just building roads and bridges like we've been doing for the last, I don't know, 50, 100 years.
Welcome back. You know, he almost seems like he almost seems like a broken man who let's welcome in Stephen Moore, Chief Economist for the Heritage Foundation. Hey, Stephen.
Hey, Steve. Great to be with you.
Thank you. Great to be with you. Always appreciate it. I mean, he's always, to some, seemed detached, you know, disinterested at times. But now he just seems like, you know, he's shrugging his shoulders. He's got the shirt open. He's got the sleeves rolled up, and he's, you know, sue me. I don't care. You know, I just get a feeling that there's really no one in charge. Do you get that feeling?
Yeah, I think the big problem for Barack Obama at this point is just his competence is being questioned by the American people, regardless of ideology, whether you're a conservative or liberal or independent. A lot of Americans just don't think he's up for the job, and he's kind of the shrinking president, isn't he? And one other thing, you know, does anyone in America outside of President Obama and a few of the ideologues in the White House still believe that the solution to our problems is spending more money? I mean, my gosh, we've had the biggest spending spree under Barack Obama. We had the $830 billion stimulus plan, and we had, you know, the Cash for Clunkers program. We got Obamacare, all these programs that have added so much to the debt and to the size of government. And for the president to say, gee, all we need to do is get jobs back is to have another big government spending program. I don't think so.
Yeah, it's you know, you just take the broken record from the first time you ran and play it now, and it's just the same thing. It's as if he hasn't had 6 years of failed policies, and here he just keeps touting the same thing over and over again.
Now, what's also interesting, Steve, from that clip that you just played, he said, look, we'll just tax our businesses more, and we'll pay for all these new roads. And, you know, if you really want to know one of the things that's holding back the economy, there are multitude of things that Washington is doing that's really depressing growth. But one of them is that we have the worst business tax climate in the world right now. We have the highest corporate tax rate. President Obama wants to make that worse. I'm not so sure how that's going to bring jobs back to America, when we should be doing just the opposite. We should be cutting our business tax rate to make America more competitive. I talked to the CEO of a major company who talked to me off the record over the last few days, Steve, and he is on the board of major manufacturing companies in the United States, and he said, because of the corporate tax rate, he said, we don't build factories in the United States anymore. They go to Indonesia, they go to Malaysia, they go to Taiwan, they go to Singapore. That's a big problem from the American worker. And it was amazing, you know, he was saying in practice, we're doing, Steve, what you say businesses are doing when you write your papers and you know, are on TV and the radio. You've got it exactly right. Our corporate tax system is destroying the job base of America. Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's talk about Hobby Lobby and that decision.
What do you think the economic ramifications are of that, if any?
That's a great question. First of all, it's such a stunning and welcome victory for religious freedom, and so I'm just so happy about this decision. As an American who believes religious freedom is such a fundamental right of Americans. But I think also it's that first chink in the armor, isn't it, Steve, out of Obamacare? And this is maybe the first brick out of the wall of the Berlin Wall of this horrible program. So whether we can see a cascading effect of this, and maybe we can go after the medical device tax, and maybe we can go after the 30-hour-a-week rule, and the other things that are just holding back employment and holding back the economy and worsening our health care. Look, Obamacare is probably the #1 reason, Steve, that businesses are not hiring at the pace they should today.
Now, I want to go back to you mentioned, the president was talking about the crumbling roads and infrastructure, et cetera, and the highway fund. There have been proposals, bipartisan proposal, a bill in the Senate, which hasn't been voted on to my knowledge, to raise the gas tax, I think 16 cents over 2 years or 12 cents over 2 years, whatever. With the price of gas soaring, I mean, summertime usually goes up, but it's now up more than it's been at any start of the summer. Good idea, bad idea, and how high do you see gas prices going with all the economic reasons thrown in, including, Iraq and the Middle East and everything else?
Yeah, Steve, with the public approval rating of Congress down in the low teens right now, I didn't think it probably could possibly get any lower. But you tell American people you want to raise the tax on gasoline when we're already paying $4 to $5 a gallon of gas, and you're going to see, single-digit approval for Congress. So it's a dreadful idea. The American people don't need to be hitting the wallet with another tax increase right now. We need to be cutting taxes on the middle class. We got to be drilling for our own natural resources. I know, Steve, you think I'm a Johnny One Note on this, but it's so important for our economy. We have more oil and gas and coal than any other country in the world. The president simply isn't allowing our companies to go after those resources so that we can lower gas prices, so we can lower electricity prices, which is like a big tax cut for the American family, and it's huge, number of jobs that pay $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 a year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you're far from a Johnny One Note, but that's such a key central piece of the puzzle that it would have such ramifications that it's so important. You keep knocking that home, and I'm glad you do.
Without the energy industry, that Obama hates, the fossil fuel industry, there would be no recovery at all in America. I mean, the energy industry is really carrying the rest of the American economy on its back. And so it's amazing to me, the one industry that's actually creating jobs, creating growth, is the one he wants to stick a knife right into the back of.
Yeah. What about, let's talk about immigration reform. Of course, Boehner told Obama it's dead this year because we can't trust you to enforce the law. Then the president went out and said, hey, I'm going to do it on my own. Are you still urging at this point, as we stand right now, that the Republicans should address comprehensive immigration reform?
I think that these latest flare-ups at the border and the fact that no one trusts Barack Obama on doing the right thing in the border, doing anything but anything that's political. I mean, he views this immigration issue as purely political. He's not trying to do the right thing for people who want to get into this country and work. You and I have talked about this a lot. I'm for allowing people who want to come into this country and work and build a better life for themselves, and people who have, computer degrees, or people who want to work in the fields and agriculture. I am for that, but I'm with the vast majority of Americans who just don't trust this president on this issue.
Yeah, well, understandably so. Let me ask you, Hillary Clinton, in answering questions, I don't remember where she was the other day.
That dirt poor woman who barely is making it, struggling to get by. That woman.
You mean $160 million dirt poor? Yeah, that's the one. She said, when asked about the economy, that Obama's trying, but she said, look to the Clinton economy. My husband is and compare it to Reagan. Now, she issued a challenge. She threw down the gauntlet there, and nobody really picked up on that. And I'd love to have that debate with you against her when you consider everything Reagan inherited from Jimmy Carter, and you consider the tech bubble that benefited Clinton.
Well, I'd like to see the Hillary Clinton-Barack Obama debate on the economy, because Hillary's actually saying a lot of things you and I have been saying, Steve, right? She's saying this economy is underperforming, the middle class is getting hammered, gas prices are too high. I mean, you and I have been saying that for 4 years, Steve?
I think so. 6 years. but I'd love for somebody to pick up on that challenge she threw out there and do a piece or challenge someone to a debate. You could represent Reagan's economy, and someone could represent the Clinton economy, and see who comes out on top. Now we got one more for you. The jobs. I saw the ADP prediction today of like 285,000. We've been burned by that up or down in the past. But what are you looking for? I think it's tomorrow, that because of the holiday, it'll be out tomorrow.
I think we're going to get a decent number. I got my fingers crossed. You know, Americans need jobs. They desperately do. But, you know, if we got over 200,000, I think that would, for Obama, that would be a really good number. But we needed to be at the 400,000 and 500,000 number for a lot of months in a row to get anywhere near the kind of employment levels we should have. Steve, we're 5.5 million jobs short of where President Obama promised us we would be with his 5% unemployment. And that's just, you know, causing real hardship for American families. So I think we'll get a decent number tomorrow. I got those fingers crossed, but we're still so far from where we should be in terms of job creation in this country today.
Stephen Moore, Chief Economist at Heritage. Great to talk to you. Have a very happy and safe 4th of July. We'll speak to you soon, my friend.
Yeah, you know, Steve, I wish I had a penny for every dollar Hillary has.
That's a good one. I'm going to steal that one, but I'll credit you anyway. Stephen Moore, ladies and gentlemen, on the Steve Malzberg Show. When we come back, it's, well, you know it, you love it, you got to have it. Can't live without it. What else could I say? It's Give Me 5, and it's coming up next right here on Newsmax Television.
Do you own mutual funds? You may be paying fees and costs of up to 5% and not even know it. Fisher Investments isn't a mutual fund, and we don't have hidden fees. Do you own an annuity? Your broker may have made a commission of 8% or more when he sold it to you. Are you sure he had your best interests in mind? At Fisher Investments, we're not brokers, and we don't earn commissions on trades or by selling you products. With our model, as your portfolio grows, we grow.
To learn more about the Fisher Investments difference, call the number on your screen now. We'll send you our free DVD, Investing Secrets for 2014, and our special report, The 8 Biggest Mistakes Investors Make. Plus, the first 100 callers get a free 1-year subscription to Fisher Investments Stock Market Outlook, with insights from our company founder and respected market forecaster, Ken Fisher. Be prepared in 2014. Call now, 1-800-575-0066, 1-800-575-0066.
Are you feeling tired, run down, low on energy? Well, you could be just like millions of Americans whose thyroid gland isn't functioning the way it's supposed to. Well, now there's hope to change all of that. Introducing Actilin. Actilin is a premium nutritional supplement designed to support optimal thyroid function. Actilin has 17 powerful ingredients that support adrenal health, thyroid function, energy, and your immune system. Actilin was formulated by the renowned holistic practitioner, Dr. David Brownstein. And now, for a limited time, you can get a free bottle of Actilin with our special offer. You pay only for shipping and handling. Act right now and get Dr. Brownstein's free special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Thyroid. Get Actilin and the special report. Sign up today at getactilin.com. That's getactilin.com. Or call us at the number below.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Call our toll-free number or visit our website. A free idea kit and DVD will be sent to your home so you can discover all the benefits of owning your own pool. Compared to traditional pools, endless pools are simple to install, easy to maintain, and economical to run. Our precision-engineered pools enable you to swim or exercise against a smooth current that adjusts to any speed and ability. Endless pools are perfect for year-round health and fitness, relaxation, and family fun. Our free idea kit and DVD will show you how easy it is for the whole family to enjoy a pool right in your backyard or home. An endless pool or an endless pool swim spa can become a showplace for your home. Call our toll-free number or visit the website to find out more about endless pools. The free idea kit will show you just how easy it is to be able to swim at home.
We're the stronger than we look type. The braver than you think type. The type that's sure the time will come when we put type 1 behind us. We're the progress is inevitable type. The rise to every challenge type. The type that knows bit by bit the future is certain to get better. We're the plan for a cure type. The improved life along the way type. The type that will stop at nothing. Absolutely nothing. Until type 1 becomes type none.
You know, part of the reason I was so adamant about including women and girls in our foreign policy, not as a luxury, but as a central issue, is because they're often the canaries in the mine. You watch women and girls being deprived of their rights. Some of them never have them. Some of them lose them. And among those rights is control over their bodies, control over their own health care, control over the size of their families. And it is a disturbing trend that you see in a lot of societies that are very unstable, anti-democratic, and frankly, prone to extremism.
All right, folks, welcome to Give Me 5. That was Hillary responding to the Hobby Lobby decision. Now, as much as I disagree with her bringing up all these issues with regard to this very narrow ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court, implying that somehow we're now denying women of their rights and headed towards these other countries in their abuse of women, at least she gave an answer, right? You heard her answer. That was part of her answer, but she answered the question. She didn't run from it. Which brings me to Chris Christie, the governor of the state of New Jersey, my governor, if you will. I live in the state of New Jersey. And Chris Christie was on Squawk Box on CNBC. And they asked him about, well, if you run for president, are you going to run as a pro-lifer, taking away women's rights? So watch this.
You think a Republican candidate should run on taking away the right to choose from women?
The Republican candidate should tell people what they feel on issues that people ask you about. If you get asked a question, answer it. That's all.
If you get asked a question, answer it. That's all. Now, keep in mind, that's what he said. If you get asked a question, answer it. So here comes the question. In the next breath, here comes the question.
You're pro-life, but what would you do in terms of what we've been talking about this morning, just the ruling that came down from the Supreme Court yesterday? Was the Supreme Court right in its decision?
Who knows? Is the Supreme Court right?
I'm sorry. Didn't he just say his advice to Republicans are, if you're asked a question, answer it? And then he's asked a question, and he says, who knows? Oh, my goodness. And he went on from there.
Fact is that when you're an executive, your Supreme Court makes a ruling and you got to live with it unless you can get the legislative body to change the law or change the Constitution. The point is like, why should I give an opinion on whether they're right or wrong?
Why should you give an opinion if the court was right or wrong? Because you were just asked about it. You were just asked the question. A moment before that question, you said your advice to Republicans are, if you're asked a question, answer it. That's the quote. And then you're asked a question, and now you're saying, why should I answer it? I couldn't believe what I was watching, and I had to bring this to you folks. Now, he goes on to say, well, the Supreme Court, once they rule, if you want to overturn it, that wasn't the question. What do you think of Hobby Lobby? He will not answer the question. He will not be pigeonholed. At least Hillary took a stand on it. More.
In the end of the day, they did what they did. That's now the law of the land, unless people in the elected branches try to change it. This is the way you get bogged down in those things. You know what? I don't think that's the most central issue that we need. about this morning when you look at the challenges that face our country. And if I allow people to put me into that box, then shame on me. I'm not a good politician. I'm not a good leader.
You're not a good politician and you're not a good leader if you weigh in on a Supreme Court decision. See, this is one of the things I don't like about Governor Christie. And when I had Governor Christie on my radio show during the quest to build a mosque at Ground Zero in New York City, I asked him as governor of a state that lost hundreds of people on 9/11, I said, where do you stand on the building of a mosque at Ground Zero? And you know what he said? Who am I to weigh in? I should have no say in this. My opinion doesn't matter. Governor Christie shies away. He doesn't want to be pigeonholed. He doesn't want to give an opinion. He doesn't want to answer the question. So that's why I found it so odd indeed, that he told his advice to Republicans, when you're asked a question, just answer it. That's all. And then he will not answer this question. He's going to have to do a lot better than that if he hopes to be the President of the United States. On the Steve Malzberg Show.
Wayne Allen Root here, former presidential candidate, conservative media personality, and best-selling author, with a shot of economic reality to kick off 2014. First, things are not as bad as they seem. They're worse. Our nation is sinking in debt, spending, taxes, and entitlements. There are no new jobs, and your health insurance is going dramatically higher. Forget stocks, bonds, and savings balances. They'll soon be gutted as the world finally ditches the dollar and turns to more stable currencies like gold. What other currency or asset has risen 300% in the last decade? Gold is like no other money on earth. Call my trusted friends at Swiss America for the full story about the coming gold rush. Gold is wealth insurance against a world full of political deception, ignorance, crisis, and economic disaster. Act now. Ask for my new DVD, The Timeless Truth About Money. It's 100% free.
3 a.m. and you're up again for the third time. It's not just affecting your sleep, it's interrupting your daily life. Frequent trips to the bathroom due to an aging prostate is a common concern, but you can now do something about it with Prostate Revive. Doctor-formulated Prostate Revive is an all-natural dietary supplement packed with 15 powerful ingredients, focused on improving prostate health by targeting the two main sources of prostate concerns, rogue testosterone and inflammation. And now, in this limited time offer, you can try Prostate Revive absolutely free. That's a free bottle, a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, risk-free. Plus, if you call right now, you'll also receive our free report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. Call now for details on getting your free bottle, plus our doctor's report. Call 1-800-659-REVIVE. That's 1-800-659-REVIVE. Don't be a victim of an aging prostate. Start getting the sleep you need and get your life back with Prostate Revive. Claim your risk-free bottle now at 1-800-659-REVIVE.
I'm Miranda Kahn here with another Newsmax Now update. Tensions between Israelis and Palestinians rise yet again in Jerusalem, this time after a missing Palestinian teenager was found dead. Many believe the boy was killed in retaliation for the 3 Israeli teens that you may remember were reported dead on Monday. Hundreds of Palestinians clashed with Israeli police, believing Jewish extremists are responsible. The boy's mother says her son was last seen on his way to a mosque for prayer. Former Massachusetts governor and GOP presidential hopeful Mitt Romney is expected to publicly announce support for Scott Brown in the New Hampshire Senate race today. This marks Romney's first campaign visit to the state since he announced his own campaign for president back in 2012. Brown represented Massachusetts in the Senate before the death of Senator Ted Kennedy, but was ousted by Democrat Elizabeth Warren in 2012. Well, it appears India has a beef with the U.S., and it has to do with the issue of spying. The Indian government issued a complaint over reports the NSA spied on their prime minister. The spokesperson for the country's external affairs ministry says the actions by the NSA are highly objectionable if proven true. The reports stem from former NSA employee Edward Snowden's controversial revelations. Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki spoke to his country in a televised address today. Al-Maliki discussed ISIS's formal declaration of an Islamic State. The Prime Minister says the extremist militants pose a threat not only to Iraq, but to the Middle East as a whole. Iraq's security forces continue to fight the Sunni militants spread throughout the country. And that's your Newsmax Now update. Now back to the Steve Malzberg Show.
All right, folks, it's hour number 2 of the Steve Malzberg Show, and kicking it off with us will be Dr. Ron Paul. You may know him as a former congressman from Texas, Ron Paul, or former GOP presidential candidate or TV host, Ron Paul. However you identify him, he'll be here to talk about the news, the Supreme Court rulings, the IRS, and more. Then Charlotte Allen will join me, the Weekly Standard contributor and author of Human Christ, The Search for the Historical Jesus. She's going to discuss with us the obscene and brutal persecution of Christians going on across the Middle East and beyond. Then Dinesh D'Souza, writer-director of 2016 Obama's America, New York Times bestselling author and former AEI and Hoover Institute fellow. He'll be here to discuss his new film, which opens. It's called Simply America. All that, Give Me Five, and more on this hour, The Steve Malzberg Show.
Ready? Fire away. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City. A fusion of politics, commentary, entertainment, and sports. Steve and his team bring you the latest news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, 2 days ago we had Congressman Peter King on, and he revealed to us that based on the new threats that are presenting themselves from the Middle East and people able to make bombs, quite possibly, that could be hidden in tubes of toothpaste or, not detectable through the various means that we traditionally detect bombs at airports. He said that the TSA might very well undertake new regulations and institute new rules and new inspection techniques. And now we're getting reports that in fact, has come to fruition and will be announced probably next week. So we'll keep an eye on that. Also, quite disturbing, the investigation into Sergeant Bergdahl and whether or not he deserted his post or was taken prisoner by the Taliban through a capture of some sort. You have people now who served with him, including platoon leaders, who have come forward and said he deserted. And it turns out that the investigation which is underway, nobody has talked to these soldiers who served with Sergeant Bergdahl. And they're saying, where is everybody? Where's the investigators? Why aren't they talking to us? Is this going to be a whitewash? Is the fix in, or are they just slow? Well, we shall see. I guess that's what we could say. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to be joined by Dr. Ron Paul, but we're both going to weigh in on what we're going to hear and see.
It is a significant game changer of sort of, you have this theme of corporations being people too. It's a huge blow to the Obama administration. This has been an awful 10 days. They were previously found to be in violation of the Fourth Amendment and privacy. Then they were found to be in violation of the separation of powers. And now they've been found to be in violation of the First Amendment and the religion clauses. I mean, you just don't want to get out of bed after a week like that.
All right. Well, maybe the president does. Maybe the president doesn't. We could certainly ask Dr. Ron Paul, former 12-term Texas congressman, former GOP presidential candidate and founder of Campaign for Liberty. And, of course, you could watch him on the Ron Paul channel. Hello, Congressman. How are you, sir?
Hello, Steve. Nice to be with you. I'm doing well.
Great. Always great to talk to you. All right. So so much to talk about here. So does the president want to get out of bed? And whether or not he wants to get out of bed based on his the losses in the Supreme Court recently, there's a new poll out today from Quinnipiac that shows that ranking the president since World War II, Barack Obama has the worst ranking. Ronald Reagan has the best. So another bit of bad news for the president.
Yeah, that takes some doing to be the worst already. So, you know, you'd think with all his problems he'd become a little more mellow and a little more cautious, but he becomes more aggressive, so he's more defensive, and I'm surprised at that, because I think he's doing excessively what most presidents do. They overstep their bounds, and I'm always complaining, as from a libertarian viewpoint, you know, they're always doing too much. But I've never seen any of them be so arrogant about it, so in your face about it. You know, most of the presidents have always abused this executive order and executive power, but he gets right up there and he says, you know, I got a pen and I got a telephone, and the Congress won't act. If the Congress doesn't act, I am obligated to do it, and I'm going to do it. He doesn't back off at all. If it's even if he were on the right side, it seems to me like his attitude would have him lowered in the polls. Let's assume that maybe he could have been correct, but he isn't, of course. But this attitude that I'm the boss and I'm the king, it sort of reminds you of a Republican president says, you know, if the president doesn't, it's legal, you know. But it looks like the courts are serving a function. I agree certainly on several of these rulings, and that is good. But we still have a long way to restore the real principles of personal liberty. Even with this ruling, on Hobby Lobby,
yeah.
it still doesn't go into the depths of what individual liberty is, and this is what I think is necessary sometimes. And Jonathan Turley just brought up the subject of who owns rights, corporations and the other things. But nevertheless, I guess they're not going to restore the Constitution with one ruling.
No, but in fact, Congressman, since 2012, there have been 13, not counting Hobby Lobby, 13 9-0 rulings against this administration from the U.S. Supreme Court, which is phenomenal.
No, that is good, and that means that, but they say that the courts are, independent, but the courts are very political. They know what's going on out there, and the courts go with the flow. So this means that our efforts, the efforts of so many in the conservative libertarian groups, we're having an effect. I think we have having an effect on foreign policy and monetary policy and the Federal Reserve, and now on civil liberties. So, and I think the courts are starting to respond to this, and I would say that's a very good sign.
All right, let me ask you about, you talked about the president, the arrogant, in-your-face nature. On the very day that he lost the Hobby Lobby case, he came out after John Boehner told him that we're not going to take up immigration reform because we can't trust you to enforce the law. And he said, I'm going to do this myself. I'm going to instruct my Attorney General and a Homeland Security Director to tell me how far I could go, and I'm going to go there. Talk about what you're seeing. I mean, former Texas Congressman, certainly Texas is on the fore there, right at the border, and these kids coming over the border. I mean, this is a huge crisis. We hear so many stories now about a congressman not being permitted to see these camps, about disease breaking out, these kids being transported all over the country to other camps. It's getting really scary.
Right, and I don't think anybody's happy with the policies. I'm not happy with it, but I don't think anybody's happy with Obama, his determination. But as a congressman living in Texas and also a physician, the health thing sort of strikes me as being very major, even over and above some of these detailed arguments on how we could improve our immigration policies. But I'm very concerned about this because we already have had many problems in Texas and Arizona where individuals come over. And, of course, one of my arguments for trying to stem the tide would be to remove the incentives and not to get free everything, free medical care and free education. But our hospitals had already been under siege by immigrants, and with these thousands, tens of thousands, who knows how many, and when you put them all together, this is what you can expect. You're going to see some very serious health problems, and we've already overburdened many hospitals, and then there's going to be this big argument, where are we going to to get the money to do this. And, you know, of course, Obama has already asked for $2 billion to help. But most of that he wants to send down to Nicaragua. And I just don't trust giving money to the governments down in Central America that they'll do what we need to have done to solve some of our problems.
So, I mean, these children, just one more on this, in the health aspect of it, we don't know their health history. We don't know if they're vaccinated to our standards. They probably aren't in many cases. I'm hearing fears of all kinds of the hepatitis, TB, Ebola. I mean, how do we keep a lid on all this?
No, you're not going to be able to. You know, in a more simpler world in the 19th century when we did have a massive influx of immigrants, we were still cautious about diseases. You know, they had to be held for a while, but it was systematic, and they were concerned about certain illnesses. But today, under these conditions, you know, it just is essentially impossible to do this, and I don't see an easy answer to this. But all I know is that we spend way too much money worrying about the borders between Syria and Iraq and Afghanistan, all those places, and we don't seem to have any concern or policies that would be more sensible here at home.
Well, let me take you overseas. We have a situation now regarding Israel and the kidnapped 3 teenagers who were killed apparently by Hamas, according to Israel. One a dual citizenship as an American, and today we have a Palestinian teenager who was killed. The media and even this administration seem to be jumping to the conclusion without much evidence that it was a retaliation killing of the Palestinian teenager. But that aside, you know, the whole Middle East just seems day after day after day, especially with the ISIS crisis in Iraq and Syria and the caliphate that seems to be forming. What, if anything, should this country do in your view?
Well, a lot sooner, a long time ago, we should have been following a non-intervention foreign policy that the founders advised, non-intervention in the internal affairs of other nations, not being the policemen of the world. But now we are so much engaged, it almost becomes silly and ridiculous. So in Ukraine, we're fighting the Russians, and we're put on sanctions, and we're stirring up a battle there. At the same time, the Russians are sending in helicopters, and we're sending in helicopters trying to preserve a government that we created. And actually, the Iranians want to come in and help us out. Well, we don't like ISIS either, so we'll help you out. If you've ever seen a mixed bag, and we've been doing this. I mean, we've been involved over there in Iraq, you know, for 20 years, really, and a lot of killing's been going on. So I think the messier this gets, the stronger the case gets for us who believe in non-interventionism, where we try not to solve all these problems that are impossible to solve, and we dig a hole for ourselves. It costs a lot of money, a lot of people die, a lot of people come home sick, and we really have a mess.
One more for you. We have less than a minute, Congressman. It's really not enough time to do it justice, but the IRS scandal. Is anybody going to be held responsible, and how does this rank in the hierarchy of scandals that you've seen?
Well, I think this is probably one of the worst. Of course, that's a lot of competition out there for that. But when you have a taxing authority doing what if a business had done, they would have been probably in prison by now, you know, by destroying information and computers and all of these things that have gone on. It is such an outrage. And it also makes this very strong point that the government, if we're to have a limited government, they're supposed to, one of the designs by the Constitution, the Fourth Amendment, was to Congressman, to protect our privacy.
Absolutely.
Well, look at what's happening. NSA and the IRS.
Congressman, to be continued. As you well know from the Ron Paul channel, the clock rules. Thank you, sir. Great talking to you. Take care. That's Ron Paul, ladies and gentlemen. Coming back.
Look how beautiful it is.
Honey, we need to talk.
We do. I took the trash out.
I know, and thank you so much for that. I think we should get a Medicare supplement insurance plan.
Right now?
Whether you're new to Medicare or not, you may know it only covers about 80% of your Part B medical expenses. It's up to you to pay the difference. So think about an AARP Medicare supplement insurance plan, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company. Like all standardized Medicare supplement insurance plans, they help cover some of what Medicare doesn't pay.
I did a little research. With a Medicare supplement plan, you'll be able to stay with your doctor.
Oh, you know, I love that guy.
These types of plans let you visit any doctor or hospital that accepts Medicare patients, and there are no networks.
Is this a one-size-fits-all kind of thing?
No, there are lots of plan options. It all depends on what we need and how much we want to spend.
Call now to request your free decision guide. It could help you find an AARP Medicare supplement plan that's right for you.
What happens when we travel?
The plans go with us, anywhere in the country.
I like that.
You know what else? United Healthcare Insurance Company has years and years of experience. What do you say?
I'm in.
Join the millions already enrolled in the only Medicare supplement insurance plans endorsed by AARP. Remember, all Medicare supplement plans help cover some of what Medicare doesn't pay and could really save you in out-of-pocket medical costs. You'll be able to choose your own doctor or hospital as long as they accept Medicare patients. And with these plans, there could be low or no copays.
You do your push-ups today?
Prepare to be amazed.
Don't wait. Call today to request your free decision guide and find the AARP Medicare supplement plan to go the distance with you. Go long.
Places, everybody.
Light check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Everything looks good on our end.
And lights.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg.
There's a worldwide war on Christianity. Christians are being attacked around the world, but you won't hear much about it on the evening news because the answer's not convenient. It doesn't fit the narrative we have been told about radical Islam. The president tries to gloss over who's attacking and killing Christians. The media describes the killings as sectarian. But the truth is, a worldwide war on Christians is being waged by a fanatical element of Islam.
All right, folks, and against that backdrop where Rand Paul was speaking the truth, we welcome in Charlotte Allen, the Weekly Standard contributor and author of Human Christ, The Search for the Historical Jesus. Charlotte, welcome.
Welcome yourself, Steve. I'm glad to be here.
Well, it's great to have you. And you wrote such a brilliant piece the other day about Christian persecution and specifically talking about Miriam Ibrahim and her death sentence and then her reprieve and then, of course, the again being arrested and unable to leave the country of Sudan when they claimed she had false documentation. We're thankful she wasn't put to death. As you say, she was about to become a modern-day martyr. But this problem, this crisis of Christian persecution throughout the Middle East and parts of Africa is just going on unchecked and unspoken about by our own government and media.
That's absolutely right. As I wrote in my article, for example, in Sudan, which is, of course, where the imprisonment of Miriam Ibrahim took place, there has been at least a decade of genocidal mass slaughters of Christians during the 1990s that the mainstream media paid no attention to whatsoever. And when somebody might point that out, they would say, well, Christians are the world's majority religion, so basically who cares? And that seemed to be the attitude. We paid no attention to Sudan until Darfur in the early 2000s, when suddenly the Muslims of Sudan were killing other Muslims in Darfur, and then lots of outrage, but no outrage whatsoever at the decade of slaughter of Christians that had preceded that.
You could go...
Essentially...
Yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Essentially, the Miriam Ibrahim case kind of springs for that. It's the same Sharia law that's been in existence since 1989 in Sudan, and that prompted the earlier massacres. And finally, the secession of South Sudan, which is mostly Christian, from Sudan itself. But obviously, that hasn't solved the problem of Christians who happen to be in Sudan itself. They're still engendering an outrageous persecution. The whole idea of being sentenced to death for a faith that was the faith of one's childhood is absolutely appalling. And even with Miriam Abraham, the media hasn't paid a whole lot of attention.
No, they really haven't. And of course, you know, it goes way beyond Sudan, Charlotte, as you well know, and as I alluded to. And you could look at the dwindling number of Christians throughout the Middle East, and traditionally, you know, havens where Christians felt comfortable, where Christians wanted to live because of either historical circumstances and significance or religious significance and circumstances. And now they're being driven out. If they're lucky, they're being driven out. In many cases, they're being slaughtered. Churches are being bombed. It's going on all over the parts of the world. And again, how do you reconcile, or how do you explain the silence? I mean, you know, today, tragically, there's a dead Palestinian teenager, and we don't know who did it, although the media and our administration would have it blamed on Israeli settlers already, even though we have no idea what happened. But, you know, that's dominating the news today. Yet, you know, how many Christians were slaughtered today in parts of the world, and you're never going to hear about any of them.
That's absolutely right. For example, in Syria, there's been a constant burning of churches, murdering of priests and other clergy people, driving Christians out of Syria by the Al Qaeda and its allies among the Syrian rebels. But we're not supporting. Instead, we have raised no protest whatsoever, as far as I can tell. I think the reason is that simply that our secular society is kind of conditioned to believing, or believes that Christians are the fanatics. They're the oppressors. They're the enslavers. When actually all of the reverse is true. And so we just haven't done a thing. We haven't said a thing about Syria's Christians. Not a thing about this huge burning of Coptic churches in Egypt, where Copts have lived since at least the 1st or 2nd century, since the time of Christ. Christians in Iraq, ancient communities that have existed since Christianity's very first centuries, are basically being obliterated. And we're just saying nothing. For example, as I pointed out in my article, the kidnapping of those Nigerian schoolgirls. Well, there was a lot of shock and horror at that, but again, the story wasn't played for what it really was. What most of those schoolgirls were Christians. The kidnapping took place in a Christian part of Nigeria. The Boko Haram, the kidnappers, are a virulent jihadist Islamic group. Their beef wasn't that girls were being educated as Michelle Obama and others.
I'm so glad, Charlotte, I'm so glad you point that out, because not only did she misrepresent it as just an issue about girls being educated, but she left out the Christian aspect altogether. She left out the fact that they slit the throats and burned to death and shot to death 40 boys at a boarding school just a few months earlier, that they rampage villages and kill people, you know, anyone that gets in their way or they don't agree with. So congratulations for being there with me for taking Michelle Obama to task for totally misrepresenting Boko Haram. And finally, I'm not here, and we have a minute, but I'm not here to go after the Christian community. I'm Jewish, and nobody does more on this issue than me on show after show. But where is the Christian community? Where is the Catholic Church? Where are these leaders all over the world speaking out en masse about this?
Yeah, there have been a few voices, but really not many. And I think that Christians feel cowed by secular society. They look at eras when there was Christian persecution of minority groups. They feel guilty about that. They want to be.
Are you telling me that Christians have some Jewish guilt, Charlotte? Oh, my God. You know what? That's a good way to end it. Charlotte, listen, thank you. We'll have you back. Great work. Keep it up, and thanks for being with us.
Okay, it was really great being with you, too, and best of luck.
Thank you. Charlotte Allen, ladies and gentlemen, Weekly Standard contributor, author of Human Christ, The Search for the Historical Jesus, and the great piece on the persecution of Christians and Miriam Ibrahim. All right, we're coming back, folks, with more of the Steve Malzberg Show, and you are not going to want to miss it, I promise.
If you're under the age of 85, please watch this very important message about final expense insurance. While it's never easy to talk about planning for one's funeral, it is very important to do so for many reasons. If you don't have life insurance, a final expense insurance plan pays cash to your family for final and all other expenses. If you're unable to purchase life insurance due to a pre-existing or current medical condition, call us right now for information and a free consultation. Perhaps you can't afford life insurance because of your age or because you're a smoker. Call us now and we'll guarantee you coverage. There are no tests to take and it's very affordable. Rates will never increase, the policy cannot be canceled, and there are no restrictions on how your beneficiaries can use the money. Don't delay. Call right now.
Call 1-800-842-1474, 1-800-842-1474, 1-800-842-1474, 1-800-842-1474.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS? Are you struggling to make ends meet because you owe more in taxes than you can afford to pay?
The IRS is relentless and will collect from you. They can garnish your wages or place a levy on your bank account. You have rights, and you can stop them by calling the tax resolvers.
If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, our qualified CPAs, tax negotiators, and support staff know the law and know how to get your situation under control legally and permanently.
Call the number on your screen now, and we will contact the IRS on your behalf. Help you end wage garnishment, stop collection calls, remove tax liens, resolve tax penalties, and reduce the amount you owe if you qualify.
It's a free call and a free consultation, but we can only help if you pick up the phone and dial the number below.
You wouldn't fix your car without going to a mechanic, so why face the IRS without an experienced company that can help you?
If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, call now and find out how we can help you resolve your IRS problems.
Call the tax resolvers at 800-489-3480.
Why are so many companies looking to hire ITT Tech grads?
Carter Brothers is a leading nationwide provider of electronic security. When we hire, we look for skilled professionals with technical know-how, like many of our ITT Tech grads.
B&T Group is a leading engineering and construction firm specializing in the wireless industry. When we need drafting technicians, ITT Tech sends us candidates who have the right set of skills and align with our core values.
Innovation Controls is a global provider of engine-driven equipment management and control solutions. We like the hands-on educational approach that ITT Tech students receive because we need people we can count on right from the start.
Make a choice that can make a difference. Call now to find out about the new Opportunity Scholarship from ITT Tech. Learn more now. Call 800-453-0319. That's 800-453-0319. 800-453-0319.
I'm Miranda Kahn here again with another Newsmax Now update. Well, we may soon know more about climate change thanks to a little help from NASA. The space agency launched a satellite from California today. Its mission? To study carbon dioxide in our planet's atmosphere. NASA hopes test results will provide information on greenhouse gases and how they affect climate change. The satellite is designed miles above the surface. A criminal court in Egypt made a high-profile conviction today. The son of ousted President Mohamed Morsi was sentenced to a year in prison for drug possession. Officers arrested 20-year-old Abdullah Morsi and his friend after they were found smoking hashish cigarettes in Cairo. The family claims this is just an attempt to further tarnish their family image. And that's your Newsmax Now update. Now back to the Steve Malzberg Show.
All right, folks. Of course, the U.S. Soccer team lost in the World Cup competition yesterday in extra time. I don't even know what they call it. I guess it's not overtime. It's extra session. Whatever. You know, everything is so proper and polite when it comes to football, you know. Anyway, Mediaite had a great story saying, what does Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Ann Coulter have in common? And it might be the fact that they don't like World Cup soccer too much. Let's put up some of what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wrote about soccer. And I will read it to you once we see it on the screen. There it is. Is there something fundamentally different about watching soccer that turns people away by the millions? Apparently so. For one thing, there's a lot of movement but not much action. American audiences see people kicking the ball to a teammate only to have it intercepted by the other team. A lot he says. To the average American used to the hustle of basketball, the clash of titans in football, the suspense of the curveball in baseball, or the thrilling crack of the slap shot in hockey, the endless meandering back and forth across the soccer field looks less like strategy and more like random luck. It lacks drama. Of course, that's not at all true, but that is certainly the perception. And we put up the next bite here, and we'll see that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar went on to pontificate through the written word, and we'll get that up and we'll read it to you, and we will do that momentarily. Here it is. We are a country of pioneers, explorers, and contrarians who only need someone to say it can't be done for us to prove otherwise. As a result, we like to see extraordinary effort rewarded. The low scoring in soccer frustrates this American impulse. We also celebrate rugged individualism, the democratic ideal that anybody from any background can become a sports hero. We like to see heroes rise, or to, as Al Gore would say, rise, buoyed by their teammates, but still expressing their own supreme individual skills. Certainly, soccer has its celebrated stars from Pele to Beckham, but those skills seem muted on TV, where we're often looking at small figures on a large field, and therefore these feats appear less impressive than they really are. In football, basketball, baseball, and hockey, team effort is rewarded with points and individual greatness, as is instant and immediate as a one-handed snag football pass or a three-pointer from the corner, stealing home base, or a snapshot puck into the goal, maybe slap shot, snapshot, whatever. So anyway, you get the drift here. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, not a big fan of soccer, at least on television. Look, it's exciting when the country's involved. The U.S. is involved. Okay, it's not like we had a good team. You know, we had a very average or below average team. They lost 1-0 to Germany and advanced to the final 16. Then they lost 2-1 yesterday, and everybody say, oh, now soccer's alive in America. Whoa, this is going to do it. I don't think so, to be perfectly honest with you. It's not like we had a great run. All right, we'll be back with more of the Steve Malzberg Show. Dinesh D'Souza joins us, but first, Dr. Chauncey Crandall with some tips for lowering your blood pressure.
Hello, I'm back this week with this very important question. Is your doctor taking your blood pressure correctly? You may assume so, but a new study shows you may be wrong. According to this new research, doctors often cut corners when taking blood pressure and record readings that may be much too high. This is important information. First, if your blood pressure reading is wrong, you could be misdiagnosed with high blood pressure and put on powerful drugs for the rest of your life. You could also be denied health insurance, and your job may even be put in jeopardy. This is important information, so pay close attention. Number 1, is your doctor using the right size blood pressure cuff? Cuffs come in 2 different sizes, average and large, but too often only the average size cuff is even used, even on the person with a larger forearm. If the cuff is too tight, the reading will be too high. Number 2, is your blood pressure taken in both of your arms? Doctors are taught that this is not mandatory, but it should be. Even a small difference between the 2 pressure readings can mean you are at great risk of suffering from a stroke or even dying of heart disease. And number 3, is your blood pressure taken when you are seated on the examining table with your legs dangling in the air? If so, your reading may be 10 points too high. You should be seated in the chair with your feet on the floor and your legs apart and relaxed. Don't cross your legs at either the knees or the ankles. Remember, if your doctor doesn't take your blood pressure the correct way, you could be putting your health at risk. Many of you already have my book, The Simple Heart Cure. So if you do, you can read all about high blood pressure in Chapter 8. That's my health tip for this week. I'll see you next week with another important Heart Health Minute.
Get your copy of Dr. Crandall's best-selling book, The Simple Heart Cure, for just $4.95 with this special offer. Go to www.simpleheartbook.com to get your copy today. That's Simple Heart.
I've always seen No No on TV, and I always wondered if it worked. and it's definitely, I can see what everybody talks about now.
It's not a razor. It's not a laser. It's No-No from Radiancy, the #1 hair removal system in the world.
It's absolutely no pain.
Can't believe the difference, Al. It's almost hair-free.
No-No gives you no hair with no pain.
Well, I saw it on TV and they said it was painless, right? I didn't really believe it, but now that I'm trying it, it feels completely painless.
And now, No-No is better than ever. Introducing the new No-No Pro. It's up to 35% more powerful. Imagine never having to shave again.
I like a close shave. Absolutely. And this is better than that. I mean, it's gone.
No more facial hair. No more embarrassment.
I've always been self-conscious of my hairline, so putting my hair back, this will be perfect for me.
And for that man in your life, there's No-No for him too.
It looks like just like you've got a fresh wax, but like you don't have to go through all the pain.
Call now and we'll send you the cordless No-No Pro in your choice of colors. Featuring an LCD display, it comes with up to 5 treatment levels. Plus, we'll include everything you need to get rid of your unwanted hair. A set of thermocon tips, specially designed for your face and body. A buffer pad to exfoliate and polish your skin. Plus, act now and we'll send you the No-No travel case as a free gift. And get this, you can try No-No risk-free for not 30 days, but 60 days with our triple guarantee. If you are not 100% satisfied, return it and we'll refund the purchase price, refund the shipping, and even pay the return postage. Try No-No risk-free today.
I need to get myself one of these right now.
Absolutely.
For your 60-day trial, go to nonopro.com or call 1-800-934-5335. That's 1-800-934-5335.
Hi, my name is John Bachman. I'm 34 years old, and I'm an anchor at Newsmax TV, and there's no place else I'd rather be. There is so much gloom and doom out there right now. People want to talk about problems, but that's changing. The conversation is changing. People want to talk now about solutions, and that is what Newsmax offers. I mean, if there's somebody who is going to contribute something to the conversation, we're going to try to talk to them.
Politics, commentary, entertainment, sports, news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
When you hear the name America, what are some words that come to your mind?
European expansion. Conquest, colonization, genocide.
Private capital, unless it's constrained in some fashion, is extremely destructive.
And more destructive than even centralized federal power?
In a country like ours, yes, much more destructive.
This argument at the core is a moral indictment of America and of the free market system. Reagan had called the Soviet Union, you remember, an evil empire, and the Soviet Union is dissolved. So who's the new evil empire?
Well, you're sitting in it.
How badly we need right now a Washington, a Lincoln, a Reagan. Well, we don't have them, but we do have us.
All right, folks, welcome back. A scene from a movie that is out today, his new film, America, produced by the great Gerald Molen. We welcome in writer and director Dinesh D'Souza. Hello, sir.
Hey, good to be on the show.
Always good to talk to you, Dinesh. So congratulations. I'm sure this film is going to have a huge success. And I want to pick up on something you just said right there before we get into anything else. You know, you documented and listed who we need. We don't have them. As a matter of fact, the Quinnipiac poll today shows that we have the worst president, the man rated the worst president by the American public since World War II, and that's Barack Obama. You say, but we have us. Is having us enough to overcome not having that leadership from the top?
Absolutely. Lincoln once said that America is ruled by public opinion. And what he meant by it is that the real power is in the people's hands. Now, the people don't know that. the people are sort of like, if you think of the parable of the lion tamer and the lion is always obediently doing what the lion tamer wants. But the lion is actually more powerful than the lion tamer. But the lion is not aware of its own power. So the American people are constantly pushed around and bullied by Barack Obama, by Hillary Clinton, and by the government, not realizing that the real power is not with those guys, but with them.
Do you take satisfaction, and it's not satisfaction. Well, let me just stop being confusing to you and myself. There has to be some satisfaction in knowing that the U.S. Supreme Court, in a year and a half, Dinesh, has ruled against this administration and this president unanimously 13 times, and that, of course, is not counting the Hobby Lobby. Saying that in one way or another, this administration has gone too far, overstepped its bounds, and has not acted in a constitutional manner. That has to, although we don't like to see that from our leader, I think that we can take some degree of reassurance that the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled the way it has.
I think it is true that we are dealing with an administration that is lawless in many important respects. And it's not accidentally lawless, it is deliberately lawless. A good example would be the way in which they selectively use the government to go after their opponents. They ignore offenses by their own side. Obama has pretty much said that he's going to ignore the legislature when it doesn't go along with him. If he doesn't like the immigration laws, not only does he not enforce them, he acts to subvert them. If he doesn't like the Defense of Marriage Act, even though it was passed by bipartisan majorities, he won't enforce it. He'll take a different position on it. This is very unprecedented, and the reason that it's going on is because the media, or much of the media, is covering up for Obama. They've become, in a sense, a shameless extension of the Obama administration. That is what is putting the American people in a precarious position.
Do you see that even with the Hobby Lobby decision? The left reaction to it is to say now women have no health care. I mean, because they can't get a couple of abortion pills to choose from 25 different different birth control methods or pills, because they can't get a couple of them paid for. Now women have no health care. That's from Hillary and Debbie Wasserman Schultz. But how, in your view, has the media responded to this decision by the Supreme Court?
Well, I think what we see in the media consistently is that you would think that the media would be on principle in defense of liberty. In fact, the word liberal, in its core meaning, means liberty. Economic liberty, political liberty, and then civil liberty, including liberty of speech and the liberty to have religious expression. But I think what we have seen, and we've seen this now for a couple of decades, is that the left doesn't care about liberty at all. It cares about its own substantive agenda, and it's perfectly willing to trample on liberty to get there. So that's something we just need to be aware of. Once we have taken it to heart, we'll know that liberty is simply a sham word, a little bit like social justice. For the left, envy, hatred, resentment, self-hatred, these are all emotions that travel under the passport of social justice. And the reason Obama mindlessly repeats the word fair share, fair share, fair share is he's giving.
All right, we're having a little bit of
trouble. Envy.
Dinesh, we're having some trouble with
giving
your
low emotion cover.
Okay, we're gonna have to reestablish contact with Dinesh one way or another, maybe either on the phone or on our Skype connection. But we want to pick up and try to finish out the interview with Dinesh. And again, his new film, America, is premiering today. Okay, Dinesh, I'm sorry we had some trouble hearing your last few comments because of the Skype froze up. But go ahead.
That's fine. Do you want to reschedule, or what's our plan?
No. We're live right now. I just wanted you to repeat maybe an answer to the question that I gave you and what you were talking about. I was after I asked you about the media reception and coverage of the Hobby Lobby, you said the media is acting basically as expected, and then you went on from there, and we had trouble hearing some of it. So go ahead.
I was just saying that with the media, even though the media constantly will chant the word liberty, it's very clear that they are not in principle committed to liberty, and they're perfectly happy to trample on it to achieve other substantive goals. Similarly, I was making the point that with social justice, Obama keeps using the phrase fair share and justice, but those are just covers for the much lower human emotions of envy, resentment, hatred, and self-hatred. Obama's a master at tapping those emotions and allowing them to travel under the passport of morality.
All right, so when folks go to see America, as I'm sure many, many will, we saw the clip at the beginning, obviously, but tell me what we could expect.
This film is it's very different than the film 2016, because 2016 was a little bit of a horror film. 2016 was a film that that focused on one man, Barack Obama. This is a film that actually talks about America. It's a celebration of America, and it will leave you exhilarated, excited, motivated, feeling a powerful sense of love for your country. It's a great film to see for the 4th of July.
All right, Dinesh, as always, thanks for joining us. Sorry for the technical difficulties, and good luck with the movie, my friend, and we'll speak to you soon.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Dinesh D'Souza, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me. Yeah, now, I got to tell you, I have not seen the movie. I did see 2016, Obama's America, and that was, I think, the second highest grossing political documentary in American history. And it just, you know, was a runaway success. And when Gerald Molen, the Academy Award-winning director with, of course, the producer, I should say, of Schindler's List, is involved, and Dinesh is involved, it's going to spell success. So I urge you all to get out there and see it. If the weather's not so good on the 4th of July and you can't have your barbecue or your party, find out where America is playing, and what better way to celebrate America than by watching America, and I'm sure you will enjoy it. All right, folks, in just a few minutes we're going to have Gimme 5. Then I want you to stick around for the next hour. In the next hour, we're going to have the Deputy Minister to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He's also a member of the Knesset. He will join us live in studio. The media has been running with the story that this death of a Palestinian teenager, and by the way, I've heard several stories. I've heard that he was hitchhiking and kidnapped. I've heard that he was pulled out of his bed at 4 in the morning. I've heard all kinds of stories. And the media is presuming that this is a revenge killing for the death of the 3 Israeli teens who were killed. There is absolutely no proof of that. There's a Palestinian witness who said, oh yeah, the Israelis took him. We've been down that road before with Palestinian witnesses and even Palestinian claims by the government of the Palestinians. So let's wait and see. All right, Gimme 5 is next, right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.
Do you own mutual funds? You may be paying fees and costs of up to 5% and not even know it. Fisher Investments isn't a mutual fund, and we don't have hidden fees. Do you own an annuity? Your broker may have made a commission of 8% or more when he sold it to you. Are you sure he had your best interests in mind? At Fisher Investments, we're not brokers, and we don't earn commissions on trades or by selling you products. With our model, as your portfolio grows, we grow.
To learn more about the Fisher Investments difference, call the number on your screen now. We'll send you our free DVD, Investing Secrets for 2014, and our special report, The 8 Biggest Mistakes Investors Make. Plus, the first 100 callers get a free 1-year subscription to Fisher Investments Stock Market Outlook, with insights from our company founder and respected market forecaster, Ken Fisher. Be prepared in 2014. Call now, 1-800-575-0066, 1-800-575-0066.
When you've got a serious leak, it's time to call for help. It's time for Leakender 2000. It fixes any leak and fixes it fast. No matter what kind of leak you have, just spray it with Leakender 2000. And in minutes, the leak is sealed. Look, we'll take this garden hose and cut it with a knife. Now we'll shut off the water, spray on Leak Ender 2000, and minutes later the hose is as good as new. The cut is sealed completely. Here's the secret. Leak Ender 2000 is a specially formulated liquid rubber compound that completely fills any crack or separation as it hardens, sealing it tight. Why put up with gushing gutters, dripping drains, wet windowsills, and rain-soaked RVs? Leak Ender 2000 stops all those leaks with just a simple spray.
Leak Ender 2000 is great. I just spray it on and no more leak. I don't know what I would do without it.
Leaky appliances can drive you crazy, but just spray on Leak Ender 2000 and they're as good as new. And what about those foundation cracks? They let water in, even bugs. But Leak Ender 2000 can seal it up in no time. It can even fix air leaks. Just a quick spray and it's sealed up tight. Leak Ender 2000 stops leaks in metal, wood, cement, brick, baked enamel, just about anything. Why spend a fortune on costly repairs and replacements? Just spray those leaks away with Leak Ender 2000. It's yours for only $14.95, and it's guaranteed to work or your money back. But wait, order now and we'll double your order at no extra charge. You'll get this huge giant-size can, good for hundreds of jobs, for only $14.95. So have your credit card ready and call now.
To order Leak Ender 2000, have your credit card ready and call toll-free. 1-800-873-2700 or send check or money order for $14.95 plus $5.95 shipping to Leak Ender 2000, P.O. Box 1183, Cathedral City, California. Call 1-800-873-2700.
Mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at 58 years old.
8 years into the disease was when all the light went out.
For me, it was heart-wrenching.
Looking into the eyes of somebody with Alzheimer's, sometimes you just don't see the person's soul is like gone.
And it takes a toll on everyone. I mean, it's a depressing disease to watch unfold before your eyes.
She actually thought those of us who were caring for her and who loved her most were her worst enemies.
More and more responsibilities fell on my shoulders.
This disease just ravages a family.
It changes your life.
The magnitude of it is indescribable.
We have to live in the moment with them.
And I'm going to be with that person right now, and to be with that person right now in this moment, wherever she is.
Now is the moment. If we work together, we can stop this epidemic.
Contact Bright Focus and learn more.
Challenge each other to be more violent.
There's no way to be committed to nonviolence in the middle of the most violent society that history's ever created. I'm not committed to nonviolence in any way.
Why was more violence the answer?
You know, I wouldn't argue that more violence was the answer, but I do think
those are your people.
Well, you know, what she said is I'm not committed to nonviolence. And
Mark Rudd was part of your group.
He was part of the Weathermen faction of SDS. He actually was never in the Weather Underground, but he was part of the...
But you were upping the violent rhetoric as well.
No question. Our rhetoric was, you know, outstripped a lot of what was going on. There's no question.
All right, folks, welcome to Gimme 5. Megyn Kelly recently interviewed Bill Ayers. Bill Ayers, the former head of the Weather Underground. They blew up bombs. Many believe they're responsible for the death of a police officer in San Francisco. They were responsible for the death of 3 of their own who exploded or blew themselves up while building bombs. So Megyn Kelly got a one-on-one with, I guess you can now call him Professor, because he is a college professor. He also was believed to have been a friend of Barack Obama. You know, Obama denied it during the 2008 campaign. I never palled around with him. He was just a guy in the neighborhood, just somebody I waved at. Hello, Bill. Turns out, of course, reportedly, according to many sources, Barack Obama started his political career in the living room of Bill Ayers and his wife, Bernadine Dornan, who you saw in that video saying she's not for nonviolence. How you could ever associate with people like that is beyond me. But Barack Obama did, and when people brought it up, somehow you were being, racist, and it didn't matter. It should have mattered, and it does matter. And get a load of this. Megyn Kelly asked him about Sergeant Bergdahl, and here's what he had to say.
I think Bo Bergdahl, if he deserted, that was an heroic thing to do. Absolutely. Nobody knows if he did or he didn't. But I did blog about that because I think throughout history we should build monuments to the unknown deserters, the people who look at the craziness that they're asked to participate in and say, I'm not part of this.
All right, so Bergdahl and all deserters are heroes. Okay. By the way, there's also rumors and reports that Bill Ayers wrote Barack Obama's book. One of the books at least. No proof there, but that has been speculated upon. Now, more from Bernadine Dornan. You ready for this? Watch.
Bernadine Dorn was not a fan of the police and referred to them typically as pigs.
Sisters and brothers, a year ago we blew away the Haymarket Pig statue at the start of the youth riot in Chicago. The head of the Police Sergeants Association called emotionally for all-out war between the pigs and us. We accepted. Last night we destroyed the pig again.
It's 2.5 weeks since Fred Hampton was murdered by the pigs who own this city.
Well, that was, again, the inflated rhetoric of the time. Yes, the Black Panthers did that. We did that. Yes.
Yes, called them pigs. He says he wouldn't call them pigs now, but he doesn't really like the police, especially the ones in Chicago. He accuses them of torture. More.
You take a situation like Chicago today, the police are a violent, out-of-control enterprise in Chicago today. The shooting of unarmed people again and again, the stopping of people on the street, the endless arrests in the black community.
Do you refer to them as pigs today?
No, I don't, because I hang, no, not really. We hang out with them at the coffee shop and talk to them, but we disagree. When you look at the Chicago Police Department, which has been involved in torture, and this is documented, been involved in torture, which has freed people off death row in the last 5 years because of a systematic practice of torture and forced confessions and so on. And these police officers are, every one of them isn't guilty, but every one of them is part of the conspiracy of silence. Absolutely.
All right, and he is an unrepentant terrorist, in my view. Watch.
You realize people could have been hurt. You admitted that at the beginning of the interview.
I said people could have been hurt, and thank God they weren't, and we made every attempt not to, and they weren't.
Do you appreciate the recklessness of that?
I don't say it wasn't reckless.
Who are you to potentially endanger the lives of those individuals who may have been in or around those buildings?
I don't say it wasn't reckless, and I don't say it wasn't illegal. It was illegal. We crossed lines of legality.
It's so much bigger than that,
We crossed lines of legality, maybe common sense.
You could have murdered somebody with those bombs.
And we didn't. But actually, the people who were conducting the war in Vietnam did actually murder people.
And so the answer is to then make yourself a murderer as well?
All right, to justify his actions, he brings up Vietnam. She said he's like Osama bin Laden, and I think she's right.
Falls are the #1 cause of injury to senior citizens. Falling down stairs can be disastrous. Acorn Stairlifts has a solution. Just don't fall. Sit, relax, ride with an Acorn Stairlift, the world's leader in stairlifts. That's right, don't let limited mobility keep you from going up and down your stairs, even outside. Call Acorn Stairlifts now for a free information kit and no obligation quote. Now you can safely ride with your Acorn Stairlift.
Now I don't have to worry about him climbing those stairs again.
And our Acorn Stairlift was very affordable. Our Acorn Stairlift is definitely more affordable than moving.
The Acorn Stairlift has a padded seat and backrest for maximum comfort. It easily folds up for access to the stairway. 5 safety sensors stop your Acorn Stairlift if there's something in the way. And it even runs during power outages.
And I'm the king of my own castle again.
You'll be working directly with the world's leader in stairlifts. That's right, there's no middleman. Acorn's trained technicians professionally install your stairlift directly to the staircase, in most cases in 2 hours or less, with no need for special construction. We don't leave until you're completely comfortable using your Acorn Stairlift.
Don't risk a serious fall down the stairs.
I was really surprised at how little they cost.
Call for your free no-obligation information kit and quote from Acorn Stairlifts. Just don't fall. Safely ride up and down your steps.
Give your life a lift with an Acorn Stairlift.
Call 1-800-514-1402 for your free information kit. That number again is 1-800-514-1402. Or visit our website today.
Call now.
I'm Miranda Khan here again with another Newsmax Now update. Tensions between Israelis and Palestinians are rising yet again in Jerusalem after a missing Palestinian teenager was found dead. Many believe the boy was killed in retaliation for the 3 Israeli teens that were reported dead on Monday. Hundreds of Palestinians clashed with Israeli police, as seen here, believing Jewish extremists are responsible. The boy's mother says her son went missing on his way to a mosque for prayer. Former Massachusetts governor and GOP presidential hopeful Mitt Romney is expected to publicly announce support for Scott Brown in the New Hampshire Senate race today. This marks Romney's first campaign visit to the state since he announced his own campaign for president back in 2012. Brown represented Massachusetts in the Senate before, after the death of Senator Ted Kennedy, but was ousted by Democrat Elizabeth Warren in 2012. Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki spoke to his country in this televised address today. Al-Maliki discussed ISIS's formal declaration of an Islamic State. The Prime Minister says the extremist militants pose a threat not only to Iraq, but to the entire Middle East as a whole. Iraq's security forces continue to fight the Sunni militants spread throughout the rest of the country. A ship carrying hundreds of tons of chemical weapons from Syria arrived in Italy today. The weapons were moved onto an American cargo ship to be destroyed at sea. The destruction is part of an international effort to prevent the hostile Syrian regime from using those deadly weapons. Italy's environmental minister praised the mission as a success. And that's your Newsmax Now update. Now let's go back to the Steve Malzberg Show.
All right, folks, it's the final hour of the Wednesday edition of the Steve Malzberg Show. And you ready for some fireworks? Not too many, but maybe some. Dean Abadallah will be here, columnist for the Daily Beast, political comedian. And he has some definite thoughts about the TSA's no-fly list, which is going away apparently, and Rick Santorum's upcoming Hobby Lobby film. So we'll talk about that. Then the Malzberg panel joins us once again. Columnist at Breitbart.com and American thinker C. Edmund Wright and president of the Galen Institute, Grace Marie Turner. Then Ophir Akunis. He's deputy minister for President Netanyahu. He's a member of the Knesset. He'll be here to discuss the murder of 3 Israeli teens by Hamas and the reports of a murdered Palestinian child today, and the media has rushed to judgment that this was a revenge killing. All that, give me 5 and more on this hour of the Steve Malzberg Show.
Ready? Fire away. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City. A fusion of politics, commentary, entertainment, and sports. Steve and his team bring you the latest news and opinion.
The aversion that...
Here is Steve Malzberg.
The aversion that some hold to joining the world and embracing soccer is often weirdly tied to American exceptionalism. And once again, this year, a few anti-soccer trolls reared their ugly heads. But they really don't matter. Not when the World Cup brings so much joy to so many people. Even the President of the United States caught the game today, leading staffers in a chant of, "I believe that we can win." And while he didn't win, that's ultimately all right, because part of embracing a truly worldwide competition is accepting the fact the U.S. cannot simply assert its dominance. Turns out we have to play just like everybody else. There probably won't be 25 million American viewers for the rest of the World Cup games, but the competition is going to go on without us, and some amazing football is going to be played, and I know I, for one, will be watching.
Yeah, but I get the feeling he's going to be watching because he feels it's his duty as a citizen of the world to watch, not because he really cares about football, as he calls it. Again, to be politically correct, I guess. All right, I don't know if Dean is going to have anything to say about that. Dean Abadallah, we welcome in. Hey, how are you, sir?
Good, how are you, Steve? I like Chris Hayes. I was just on his show a couple of weeks ago. He's a good guy. I'm not sure if he'll watch
this. I'm sure he's a good guy. What's that? Well, let me ask you. Is it not right to root for your country? Is that a bad thing?
No, of course not. I rooted for the U.S. all the way. I'm also half Italian, half Arab, so I rooted for Italy and Algeria. But the USA is the team I wanted to win it all, of course. And I watched the last half and the extra time yesterday, and I was rooting. Tim Howard is amazing. The guy can stop just about anything. He's remarkable. But unfortunately, that's it. And I probably will not watch too much more of the World Cup now that the U.S. is out, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I just get the feeling that he thinks that if you watched it before and you're not going to watch it now that your country's out, that there's something wrong with you, and he's gonna do what's politically correct because he's the politically correct guy. Anyway, so what? Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Let me ask you a question. Have you seen the media coverage of the death of the Palestinian boy today?
I didn't see any. I haven't watched news, to be honest. I was out, but I saw, of course, online articles about it. Yeah.
All right. Well, then it's kind of moot, and we can move on. But I was just a little, not taken aback because I expect it. I've lived through the so-called Jenin massacre. I've lived through the Palestinians putting the kids in the ambulance, then taking them out and then putting them back in. So I've lived through a lot of it. But to call this a retribution killing, or to assume it's a retribution killing, when there's absolutely no proof yet, because the investigation hasn't even hardly started, certainly hasn't been completed, could just as well have been killed by Palestinians as by Israelis. I just find it not bizarre, but unfortunate.
I think the investigation will reveal what it reveals, and let's hope there's a thorough investigation and they bring to justice the people who killed this Palestinian, and of course the 3 Israelis who were killed, which are horrific. It's indefensible, and I hope they bring to justice the people who killed those 3 young Israeli teenagers.
All right, then so far we agree on everything just about. We rooted for the USA, and we believe that all the perpetrators in both the killings should be brought to justice. So, all right, let's move on to something we'll probably disagree on, Dean, and that is the you went after the no-fly list. Now, I know that as a matter of fact, I have a friend whose name, which, by the way, doesn't sound anything like a Muslim name. He's Italian. It doesn't even sound Italian. His name was on it, and of course it wasn't him, and he had all kinds of problems. But isn't the no-fly list, especially now we find out there's new kinds of explosives that the TSA is getting prepared to enhance their security at airports about, shouldn't we have a no-fly list where there are red flags that go up when certain names are ready to board a plane?
Well, Steve, we're going to agree here, too. It's not that I don't think there should be a no-fly list. What I think is that I agree with the federal court decision from about a week ago in Oregon, that the procedure itself, especially for American citizens, that's all I'm focused on, frankly, is American citizens or permanent residents. Those are the ones who are entitled to constitutional protection, that there's a meaningful procedure in place. Because right now, if you're on it, they don't tell you till you show up to the airport. Then they don't even tell you, the government does not have to tell you the reason you're on the no-fly list. So while they have a redress provision to get off the no-fly list, because they don't tell you why you're on it, it's very hard to counter it. So the federal court said they gave Homeland Security till July 14th to come up with a meaningful procedure that's clear. So if you're on it, like your friend was, and I have a friend whose last name was Wilson, white as can be, American guy, he was on it too because somehow his name matched someone else. That these people don't know why they're in it, and there's a runaround sometimes, literally for years, as the court case said. So I think, and I even fault the Obama administration for 6 years for continuing this and not putting in more transparency. When President Obama came into office talking about transparency, so I think here we might actually agree as well, because I'm criticizing the Obama administration for lack of transparency on the no-fly list rules. That's what my article's really about.
But what good is a no-fly list if you're going to tell people in advance that they're on it, and if you're going to tell them why they're on it? Let's say there's a terrorist out there. The guy's name is on the list. Maybe the terrorist doesn't know we're on to him. Maybe he's an American citizen. And, this way we catch him at the airport. Why should we have to tell him why he's on it and warn him in advance that he better stay away because he's on it?
I think, honestly, if we know someone and they're on the no-fly list because they're actually a terrorist, a real terrorist, and that guy can buy tickets, we can probably track that person and arrest them. I think that's the reality of the situation. There were 13 plaintiffs in this lawsuit, including 4 U.S. military veterans who served in our military proudly and then could not fly in a plane, and most of them weren't Arab American at all. There was no connection whatsoever. So if there's a procedure where it's clear, like if you're on it by mistake, this is how you can get off it. You can have a proper showing and a proper procedure. It's due process. That's the whole issue it's about. I'm fine with a no-fly list. But I don't actually think terrorists, I think if they're a real known terrorist, we're going to catch them. We're going to catch them before they board, I hope, or before they even buy a ticket. So I think telling them is part of due process. That's the issue we're dealing with.
All right. Well, again, if there's someone on a no-fly list that we know for sure is a terrorist, and we do get him, then it's not going to. Then him being on the no-fly list isn't going to really matter anyway. All right, let's go to Rick Santorum. Rick Santorum is the president of Echo Light Studios, and he's made several movies. They're very religiously based movies and traditionally based movies, and now he's making a movie about the Hobby Lobby case. And you wrote a piece at the Daily Beast, which the headline says Rick Santorum's Hobby Lobby horror movie. And you have a problem with the fact that he stresses Christianity too much in it. Explain what your problem is with this movie about Hobby Lobby.
At the outset, let me say I am so much happier Rick Santorum is making movies and not making policy. So I can at least applaud that. And I hope forever he makes films and never public policy again. And I will defend his right to make films. The article is a little comedic. I mean, I tell you, it's from the guy who brought you such hits as "Our laws must agree with the Bible," "Gay sex is the equivalent of a man having sex with a dog," and "Contraception is not okay." Now brings his new documentary, One Generation.
Well, he never said that. He never said that homosexuality is like having sex with dogs. I'm not going to take quotes out of context here and let you get away with attributing it to him. Let's talk about what your problem is with the Hobby Lobby movie.
Well, right now, all that's been released is the trailer. They released the trailer on Monday at the same time the Hobby Lobby decision came out. So all I can see so far is the trailer. In the trailer,
and by the way, it's called One Generation Away: The Erosion of Religious Liberty.
Right, and it's all about America. It's about losing religious liberty in our country right now. And it has men in suits cutting down a huge cross. Then it has images of Nazi Germany, which, if you're going to bring up the Nazis and you're not dealing with the Holocaust, it's a little ridiculous. I'm going to be honest with you. I think you're diluting the horrors of the Holocaust if you bring up Nazis when it's not about that. But in any event, that's his view as making a movie. Okay, I get it. In it, though, all he talks about is religious liberty. All you see are images of Christianity. There are other religions in America. We should fight for liberty for all faiths. Christians should, of course, fight for their faith. So should Jews, Sikhs, Muslims, Hindus, anyone who wants to practice. So it was kind of weird to me that it was only about Christianity. Why not other faiths?
Well, but he's making a movie. And you're telling me the images he shows in the trailer, and you haven't seen the whole movie. If one's talking about if one's talking about the erosion of religious liberty in America, or anything about religious liberty in America, and they choose to show things or focus upon things, so are they going to have to talk about Buddhists and Muslims and Jews and Christians and right on that? They're going to have to cover every single religion, or you won't be happy?
He can do whatever he wants. He's making a film. He's not implementing public policy.
Right, but I'm talking about your problem with it.
Right. Well, that was part of my problem with it. My problem is that how come you don't talk about any other faiths in there? If you're going to talk about religious liberty in America, Christians do have issues. Certainly Muslims have issues. The simplest thing, just trying to build places of worship. There's a controversy in northern Jersey right now. It's nothing to do with Ground Zero, where the town's saying we don't want a mosque here. And not the whole town, people in the town. So religious liberty should be for all. I mean, that's the whole point.
And by the way, people object to the building of synagogues and churches in certain residential areas as well. So it's not only, I don't know the case you're talking about, but it's not unique to mosques that people object to the building of those facilities.
And to me, that makes it a better film. When you show people protesting against a synagogue, show them protesting against a Sikh temple. All right,
Dean, I got a deal for you. I'm up against the clock, but we had a very tame conversation by past standards today. I'm glad for my blood pressure's sake. But when you make your movie, you could include or exclude whatever you want, and so could Rick. And I know you agree with that. Dean, we'll speak to you soon. Dean Abadallah, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming back with the panel. Don't go away.
Meet John and Nancy. Like many people, John and Nancy have spent their whole lives working hard, saving their money and investing wisely, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But the reality is, today's world is not the same as it was. John and Nancy's stocks have taken them on a serious roller coaster ride, and it's all but destroyed their retirement funds. Their house is not even close to being worth what they paid, and to boot, their middle-class paychecks no longer cover their costs. All that hard work and smart investing has gotten them nowhere. In fact, they are no longer thinking about when they will retire, they're wondering if they'll retire. Then one day, John and Nancy heard about a man named Tom Hutchison, a veteran of Wall Street for over 2 decades. Tom noticed that the wealthy invested differently than normal people, and their methods seemed to be a secret they didn't want to share. So Tom left his job, compiled the strategies, and published them in the controversial book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns. John and Nancy immediately picked up a copy, began investing, and never looked back. Thanks to Powerful Secrets, John and Nancy now have investments that pay up to 20% a year. They learned about unique tax-advantaged investments, and their favorite chapter revealed a strategy that anyone can use to turn $50,000 into $1 million. Now, John and Nancy have control of their financial future in this new reality, and they have peace of mind about their investments that they never had before. Best of all, they are back on track to a secure retirement. To get your free copy of the book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns, simply visit www.myfinancialage.org.
At that moment, it hit me. This is why I joined the Guard. I couldn't believe it. I just saved the life of somebody from my hometown.
Be there for your community at NationalGuard.com.
Politics, commentary, entertainment, sports, news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The Malzberg panel, columnist at Breitbart.com and American thinker C. Edmund Wright, and president of the Galen Institute, Grace Marie Turner. And before we get to you guys, I want you to hear from President Obama, something he said yesterday, and I'm sure he's going to be saying it a lot more. Let's all watch. 36. All right, maybe the president doesn't want to talk to us. Mr. President, we love hearing
and
what
they criticized me for this. Boehner sued me for this. And I told him I'd rather do things with you, pass some laws. Make sure the Highway Trust Fund is funded so we don't lay off hundreds of thousands of workers. It's not that hard. Middle-class families can't wait for Republicans in Congress to do stuff. So sue me. As long as they're doing nothing, I'm not going to apologize for trying to do something.
Here is a man who is viewed, Edmund and Grace Marie, here's a man who's viewed by the American public as the worst president since World War II, and he doesn't get it, or he gets it and he doesn't care, and he goes out there and he's in your face. He doesn't stop. He's pushing this line that he will act no matter, because the evil Congress won't. And Grace Marie, is he going to stop?
Isn't this unbelievable, Steve? I mean, that is so arrogant. It is so unpresidential. It is like a 3-year-old throwing a temper tantrum. He is not working with the Congress. Of course, you're not going to hear that from him, but the House has been passing bill after bill after bill, hits a stone wall when it goes over to the Senate because Harry Reid will not bring it to the floor. And of course, nothing reaches his desk, but it's not the House's fault. It's the fact that Harry Reid is blocking everything in the Senate, and the president should basically throw this kind of a temper tantrum. So sue me after losing, by the way, before the Supreme Court 13 times is unbelievably arrogant.
Yeah, Edmund, I mean, he just shows, most people, Bill Clinton would never have let it get to this point, but Bill Clinton would have long ago, acquiesced. He would have found middle ground. He would have calmed down. He would have seen the writing on the wall. This guy just gets hardened the more he loses, the more unpopular he gets.
No, Steve, you're absolutely right. By the way, Grace Marie is absolutely correct in saying that this is a 3-year-old tantrum. It's very, very unpresidential, to say the least. But what Clinton did after the 94 midterms, which was very similar to the 2010 midterms, is Clinton then governed basically with Newt Gingrich. And I guess you could say he actually passed the Newt Gingrich agenda, which was the contract with America. And guess what? It worked. Obama's done the opposite. He's doubled down on his, far left agenda. Nothing's working. Everything's a disaster. And the American people, bless their hearts, finally waking up with that poll, the worst president since World War II. He clearly is. I'm surprised this many people realize it.
Yeah, well, sooner or later they were going to start realizing, and his approval poll and poll numbers, trustworthiness, policies, do you like them? Those numbers have been tanking for a long, long time, and now, to have Ronald Reagan at the top, where he belongs, and Barack Obama at the bottom, it does give you hope, Grace Marie, doesn't it?
It does, and I was particularly interested in the issue by issue poll of the Quinnipiac survey, because it showed
That's easy for you to say, by the way, yeah.
Particularly on the economy. I mean, what do we think about Ronald Reagan? He was very bold with foreign policy, but he also really revitalized the American economy. He understood what was wrong with the economy, how we needed to get out of the Carter doldrums of hyperinflation and high joblessness. And Reagan pulled us out of that because of his economic policies. And remember when the president met with House Republicans soon after he was elected, after his first election, he basically said, I don't agree with you on your economic policies. Well, guess what? The American people agree with Reagan, not the president. And that's really the fundamental reason our economy cannot get going. And the American people, I think, are responding to that in this poll, because the economy is not recovering, and it's not recovering because of the president's flawed policies.
Yeah, Edmund, let me just take this a little left of the outfield here and go off the beaten path. And Hillary Clinton recently said, hey, if you want to know how an economy should be run, Obama's trying, but hey, my husband, and again, I think she's going to have trouble running on her husband's record. I mean, not that it wasn't good in some respects, but, she's got to run on her own. But my husband, and then she said, compare it to Ronald Reagan. And I sat there shocked, because I'd love to compare it to Ronald Reagan, with what Reagan started with coming out of the Carter years and the internet boom that Clinton was the beneficiary of. But I found that very interesting that Hillary said, look at the Clinton economy compared to Reagan as the way that she might govern.
Well, it's interesting. Barack Obama chose Bill Clinton to speak in Charlotte at the Democrat National Convention precisely because Clinton had governed over a successful economy. And you're right, the high-tech bubble was part of it. But again, what Clinton had done was he was a more conservative president for 2 or 3 of his years of his second term than George W. Bush ever was. So the Clintonomics that ended up working were really Newtonomics. They were conservative principles, as was the case with Reagan, and that's clearly not what we have with Obama, nor what we'll get with Hillary.
But Steve, I think it's also really important to recognize that when Bill Clinton was first elected, he was a tax and spend president. He was traditional liberal, and in 1992, then in 1994, when the Gingrich Congress came in and when Republicans took control of the Congress, is when Clinton had to then begin to work with Congress and to compromise. They did welfare reform, and a lot of very positive things happened. But it also, you cannot divorce the Clinton years from the fact that there was a Republican Congress that he had to work with and did work with in really getting the economy going.
Yep.
Yeah, and this is a president who Democrats and Republicans alike will tell you has virtually no relationship with anybody in Congress on either side of the aisle, and has no interest in forging those relationships. All right, stay where you are, folks. We're coming back. See Edmund Wright and Grace Marie Turner. The Malzberg panel will be back, and I want to talk about the border. I want to talk about the medical crisis. I want to talk about a congressman being told you can't see the kids in the camps. I want to talk about people being told don't talk about these sick children or you'll lose your job. when we come back on the Steve Malzberg Show, only on Newsmax Television.
In 2014, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you're robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at aftbook.com. That's aftbook.com.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names. They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
Call right now to get your free Senior Care Compass ebook. Find out about the 5 best-kept secrets on financing senior care and assisted living.
To find out more, call 800-263-4151. That's 800-263-4151.
If you want to shed the fat and sculpt your core to get those sexy toned abs of your dreams, then stop doing sit-ups. Say what? And start dancing with Hip Hop Abs, the fun new ab sculpting system from Insanity creator Sean T.
I don't want you to ever get down on the floor to do crunches again. I'm gonna break it down so you burn the fat and sculpt those abs fast.
Just do Sean's easy to follow moves to work your upper abs, middle abs, lower abs, and obliques, all while you're dancing.
I went from a size 18 to a size 2. I have abs now. I've got a 6-pack.
And now the complete $80 Hip Hop Abs system is 75% off. That's right, Hip Hop Abs is only $19.95. We'll even upgrade you to express shipping free. Get the complete Hip Hop Abs system for only $19.95.
Call 1-800-488-9042 or order online at gethiphopabs.com. 1-800-488-9042. Call now.
Are you one of the many Americans who undergo CPAP or BiPAP therapy? Replacing your supplies every 3 to 6 months is critical, as bacteria will build up and worn-out straps cause leaks. Call Allied Medical Supply Network and speak to an expert agent who will set up a schedule for your supplies to be delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today and rest easy.
Call 1-800-697-1242. That's 1-800-697-1242.
I'm Miranda Kahn with your Newsmax Now update. Well, after just one day following the end of a 10-day ceasefire, and they're at it again. Sectarian violence sparked today between Russian separatists and government forces in the Ukraine. Right now, rebel militants are securing their positions in a key city after being hit with a missile last night. There are no reports of injuries. A criminal court in Egypt made a high-profile conviction today. The son of ousted President Mohamed Morsi was sentenced to a year in prison for drug possession. 20-year-old Abdullah Morsi and his friend were arrested when they were found smoking hashish cigarettes in Cairo. The family claims this is just another attempt to further tarnish the family's image. And that's your Newsmax Now update. Let's head back to the Steve Malzberg Show.
All right, folks, we are back, and it's very, very interesting. The president was invited by Governor Rick Perry to visit the border. Come to Texas and visit the border. That invitation was extended. Well, it's been extended over and over again, but most recently, just a few days ago, in relation to this latest crisis with the children, of course. And the president has officially rejected that invitation. Yet he is flying out for some kind of fundraiser. And it's interesting, Major Garrett of CBS News, formerly a Fox News channel, confronted the White House spokesperson on that issue, and we'll have that for you tomorrow. A very interesting exchange, but it's par for the course, is it not? Why wouldn't the president go to the border? Why wouldn't the president go see these children? Why wouldn't the president hold a press conference and send a message to the world by standing there in proximity to the children or to the camps and say, this is unacceptable. This is a humanitarian crisis. These kids, we don't know their medical records. These kids can't be integrated into our society. We don't know what kind of disease they may be bringing into our country. But no, none of that. None of that. Instead, they're being flown all over the country to various parts, to various camps, to be, I don't know, to be housed, to be reunited with family members. I've heard reports that most of these kids have parents already here. I don't know what to believe. I do believe, though, and I do know that I believe that this was premeditated. This is purposely done. It continues to be purposely done, in my opinion. And part of my evidence in coming to that conclusion is that in January, Homeland Security posted a listing for a job, for jobs with an S, and that was for escorts for illegal children in this country. So they anticipated a surge. They've gotten a surge. When you combine that with the statements this administration, particularly the president, has made, it results in what we're seeing now. And that is a very grave crisis. Just on health reasons alone, as Congressman Ron Paul, I almost said Rand Paul, but Congressman Ron Paul, who's a doctor, alluded to when we spoke to him. You know, we go to great lengths in this country to protect our children and ourselves from disease that we've eradicated in one way or another. By screening people who come into this country if they're adults, by vaccinating children before they could go to school, when they're born, of course, and making sure they have the vaccines before they can attend school. And not just in kindergarten, right on through the formative years. Now, who are these kids? What shots do they have? What diseases might they be carrying? We don't know, apparently, and apparently we, when I say we, I mean our administration, doesn't really care. But it's okay, because chances are they won't be coming in contact with those who go to private school, if you know what I mean. All right, folks, we're going to be back with more of the Steve Malzberg Show, but first, you're not going to want to miss this hour's American Moment. Takes a look back at the desegregation of schools in Little Rock, Arkansas, back in 1957.
The 1954 U.S. Supreme Court's decision, Brown versus the Board of Education, declared all laws establishing segregated schools to be unconstitutional. As with the majority of southern cities, Little Rock, Arkansas's Board of Education agreed to comply with the court's ruling. However, Arkansas's Governor Orville Faubus had other ideas.
Units of the National Guard have been and are now being mobilized with the mission to maintain or restore the peace and good order of this community.
President Eisenhower was so disturbed by the governor's decision to completely ignore federal law, he cut short his vacation and returned to the White House to address the nation.
The President's responsibility is inescapable. In accordance with that responsibility, I have today issued an executive order directing the use of troops under federal authority to aid in the execution of federal law at Little Rock, Arkansas.
At the center of the controversy were 9 black students selected by the Little Rock School Board to attend the then all-white Central High School. One of the students, Elizabeth Eckford, arrived at the school separately and found herself confronting an angry crowd of students and bystanders. Suddenly, out of that crowd, as seen here, an older white woman came to her rescue and guided her safely to a bus. Even after the 9 students were admitted to Central High, the year that followed found them being subjected to taunts and abuses, both verbal and physical, by student and parent alike.
Well, I think like if a Spanish or a Chinese person came here, it wouldn't be hard to get along with them. It's just that the Negroes are what you might say more different to us than a Spanish person might be.
However, With the admittance of those brave students on the 25th day of September, 1957, the precedent had been set, and soon afterward, all of Little Rock schools voluntarily complied with the court's rulings, and planned school segregation became part of a troubled past. For Newsmax TV, I'm Bill Curtis, and this is an American Moment.
Attention seniors and baby boomers. A new website has been created just for you. MyBenefits811.com. At MyBenefits811.com, we reveal a weird trick that could help you add $152,000 to your Social Security payouts. For example, did you know how you file for Social Security can dramatically change the amount of money you collect? One simple step could add up to $1,000 to your monthly payouts. And other strategies we found reveal 33 ways for big savings on your health care. At MyBenefits811.com, you will also discover how you could save up to 50% on your groceries, along with 49 other ways to save as much as $50,000 starting today. Newsmax says MyBenefits811.com is a critical resource for anyone over the age of 50. So go to MyBenefits811.com now to find out how you could add extra money to your Social Security checks. That's MyBenefits811.com. MyBenefits811.com.
Imagine being able to clear your breakouts fast with a revolutionary new acne treatment that's actually good for your skin. Announcing all-new Proactive Plus, the combination of acne medicine plus ultra-perfecting skincare. Television star Kristen Ritter calls it a miracle.
I love the new Proactive Plus. It's fighting all my breakouts, and my skin is like porcelain.
The results are astonishing. Your skin is not only clear, but smooth and sexy. It's our smartest, fastest, most effective solution ever. And now, new skincare is in every step to balance acne-prone skin with needed hydration and more.
I have to tell you this is different. Just look at my before and after pictures. That doesn't lie.
So grab your phone and dial the number on your screen now, because today, shipping is free. And get 3 free gifts, a $96 value for just $29.95. Call now.
You will love your skin.
Tonight we are a country awakened to danger and called to defend freedom.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg.
But if I shoot you and at the same time as saying I renounce violence, that doesn't really make much sense. So you're saying though is that apart from the teenagers, because you don't know, you're not sure of the circumstances, just the rocket attacks themselves are not cause to have you rethink your relationship with the government.
Well, Matt, as we had stated from the beginning, and the point I was trying to make is that we would be constantly reviewing as it relates to actions on the ground, whether they are abiding by the components that they have, the pledges that they made at the beginning. So I don't have anything new to predict for you or outline, but we look at all of the circumstances that happen on the ground as we evaluate our relationship.
I'll stop after this.
Okay.
You think right now that they are abiding by the requirements?
Well, I think the Palestinian Authority and President Abbas and the technocratic government that doesn't involve members of Hamas, yes, they are making every effort to.
All right, folks, there you have it. Our clueless, as some might call them, State Department spokesperson from a clueless State Department, not to impugn her personally, saying that the Palestinian Authority is following the rules, and if Hamas isn't, well, you know, there's, I guess, good Hamas and bad Hamas, like there's good Taliban and bad Taliban. Joining us right now, live in studio here with us, is Deputy Minister for Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, and he's also a member of the Knesset, Ophir Akunis. Sir, great to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for your time.
It's my pleasure, believe me. Okay, we'll get to that in a second, but the breaking news of the day is the death of the Palestinian teenager. The media has been quick to jump, and I'm sorry to say the State Department, the presidential spokesperson, I should say, from what he said, his implication was the president has spoke to Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu has promised to do everything he can to bring whoever did it to justice. The implication being that this was an Israeli retaliation killing. Do we know that?
First of all, facts. We don't know what happened yet. So I think that it will not be a good idea to jump into conclusions. Of course, that the state of Israel condemned every terror and every violence in our region. But you know, Israel is very sad these days and grieving the 3 boys, teenage boys, that we know for sure what happened to them. We found their bodies in Judea, in the Judea area nearby Hebron, and they murdered by Hamas terrorists. That we know for sure.
I just want to go on a little bit on this. So we don't know what happened with the Palestinian teenager. Is there any indication yet that it was an Israeli citizen or settler, or settlers as they're called, that were responsible? Any indication of that?
Not yet. It's very close to the event. We don't know.
So it could just
the police announced that she will investigate this the murder, but we cannot say, that it was murdered by settlers or Israelis. We cannot.
Or Palestinian.
Maybe, I don't know.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That possibility exists,
Steve,
correct?
we don't know the facts.
Right.
You don't know me yet, but I love to speak according to a fact.
No, and I'm only pressing you because I don't like what the media is doing. I don't like what our presidential spokesman said. That's why I'm pressing you.
I'm not responsible.
No. I just want to get your point of view.
My point of view, that it's too early.
Right.
Of course, that we are a state of law. And this is the state of Israel, with the full civil rights to everybody, to Arabs, Israelis. And we don't know what happened this morning in Jerusalem. And my suggestion is not jump into conclusions and into announcements.
Okay, now as far as what did occur, in combination with, as you heard mentioned by the AP reporter to our State Department spokesman in that bite, the rocket attacks resuming from the Gaza Strip. I don't know if they've ever really stopped, but they're increasing. Is Israel finished retaliating for those actions, both the murders of the teenagers and the rocket attacks?
We will do whatever is necessary to defend the citizens of Israel. We should do it. We must do it. And you mentioned the Gaza Strip. You know that Israel withdrew from all Gaza Strip to 4th of June 67 lines. So what is the reason to the missiles attacks, to the rockets from Gaza Strip to Ashkelon or to Sderot or to Ofakim against our citizens in the north? What is the reason? This is the conception that if you will withdraw to the 4th of June 67 line, you will get the peace. Yeah. So it's wrong. It's not about territories. The Arab-Israeli conflict is it's not a territorial debate. It's about Israel existence. And I'm struggling the truth. Here in your studio, in the UN, I met the Deputy General Secretary 2 days ago here in New York, and we talked about the territories. He said about the occupation. There is no occupation in Judea and Samaria. This is the homeland of the Jewish people. And the debate in the Arab-Israeli conflict is not about Judea and Samaria. It's about our existence in the Middle East.
All right, now we bring Hamas into the picture here because they're part of a unity government with the Palestinian Authority. That question to our State Department spokesman just yesterday was about that and about the U.S.'s continued support of that government. They announced right after that government formed that they'll continue financially to support the government and otherwise to support the government. Is your response to that announcement, which was a couple of weeks ago, but now in light of what Hamas is responsible for, according to your government, the kidnappings and murders of the 3 citizens, the 3 teenagers, would you expect the U.S. to reevaluate that support?
First of all, yes, absolutely. But everybody needs to understand who is Hamas. The charter of Hamas is to ruin the state of Israel. It's not about Judea and Samaria. They want to do it by jihad. This is in their charter. They are a terror organization. And what happened last month is that President Abbas, the PA chairman, decided it was his decision, Steve, to establish this terror government. I think that it was I said it. It was a mistake. To announce immediately that it will be fine to continue to work with this government. I think that it was a mistake, and it's not. It's not so. It's not. I will tell you it like this. It can be a change in the American policy according to the Hamas government, according to the terror government. So they can change their mind, and I hope that they will do it, because it was a mistake.
So you hope the Israeli government hopes the U.S. will change its position?
Of course. And the Israeli decision, the cabinet decision, is very clear and very sharp. Although there will be Hamas ministers in the terror government of the PA, we will not negotiate with them. It's like America will not negotiate with the government that there is Al-Qaeda supporters inside the government.
Yeah, well, I would like to believe that.
Yeah.
I don't know anymore after what we did with the Taliban and releasing the prisoners for Bergdahl. I don't know anymore.
I hope that what will happen.
Yeah. All right, now let's talk about ISIS and what's going on. How does this threaten the state of Israel? I mean, I guess through it threatening Jordan and the surrounding areas. ISIS rhetorically has said, we're going to march to Israel and we're going to go there next. But how does this threaten the security of the state of Israel?
I heard them. They want to come to Jerusalem. That's what they want. They want a state between Baghdad and Mosul through Jordan to Jerusalem.
A caliphate, yeah.
And of course, and through Jerusalem till Tel Aviv and the Mediterranean. That's what they want. But they don't want only this. They want Europe and they want the States. That's what they want. And they are very cruel. They declare it. Yeah. And they are very cruel. You saw what happened to the Iraqi soldiers that forced by American forces. It's really a tragedy. ISIS is a threat, a direct threat on the King of Jordan regime, first of all. And you know that after the Jordan, there is Israel, the beginning of Israel, the Jordan Valley. And I remember when I saw what happened in Iraq lately, that in January, there was a huge American pressure on Israel to withdraw from the Jordan Valley. Yeah. I said when I traveled to the Jordan Valley right after the announcement that if IDF soldiers and the Israeli settlers will not be there in the Jordan Valley, Al-Qaeda will be there.
The vacuum gets filled.
Al-Qaeda, that's right. But now we see that it's not only Hamas, it's not only Al-Qaeda, it's ISIS, and one worse than the other, as we all know. So we need to be very calm. The Mediterranean, the region is changing, so quickly, like it never changed from the end of the First World War. So we need to be very calm. We need to see what happened in the future in our region, and not jump, first of all, into conclusions, and second, not jump into bad agreements.
Yeah, and just very briefly, we have less than a minute. Has this crisis brought Israel closer with some unlikely, I know you're at peace with Jordan, but has this brought you closer with some of your neighbors?
I fully support the peace agreement with Egypt, and this is our policy, our government's policy, and with Jordan. I think that every state that want peace with Israel, they will find an open door.
Mr. Deputy Minister, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you having here and clearing up so many issues, and I hope we speak again soon.
Thank you.
All right, folks. You're always invited. You have an open invitation. Anytime you want to come, he's welcome. All right, folks. Very important issues, and we're coming back, and we're going to digress just a bit as we present Gimme 5 right here on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax Television.
Get ready, America! The Affordable Health Care Act is here, and it's got everyone asking, how do I find affordable health insurance that's right for me? The answer is simpler than you think. Pick up the phone and call I Can Benefit right now. Waiting for you is a team of licensed insurance agents who understand healthcare reform and can help you find the right plan to take care of you and your family's health, because nothing is more important. Have you been denied in the past? I have. Struggling to pay high premiums? Join the hundreds of thousands of callers just like you and let us help you find a plan that works for you and your budget. But I'm not stopping there. Call now and receive your free ICANN prescription savings card. Save up to 85% on prescription medications at over 60,000 pharmacies nationwide. Don't wait. Call now and get the answers you deserve and a price you'll love.
Call toll-free 1-800-426-2983. That's 1-800-426-2983. Call now.
At 69, I'm starting a whole new chapter in my life.
Lifestyle Lift, a life-changing procedure that helps remove wrinkles, frown lines, and sagging skin on your face and neck.
I have a younger look and a new look on life.
Look, almost 200,000 lives changed. Lifestyle Lift is the affordable way to looking years younger.
Nothing's better than a Lifestyle Lift.
Don't miss your chance for your free skin firming treatment. Call now because this amazing offer ends soon.
Every time I see somebody, you look so good, you just never age, I go, oh, thank you for that. You know?
Would you feel good looking younger and more attractive?
I haven't felt this good in years.
My name is Cindy, I'm 56, but nobody needs to know.
Don't miss your chance for your free skin firming treatment. Call now because this amazing offer ends soon.
Call now, 800-599-0771.
Don't regret looking older than you feel.
Are you having problems with the IRS? Liens and levies, garnishments, seizures, penalties? Are you being audited? Our trained professionals at Wall & Associates can help. We've helped thousands of individuals and businesses solve their tax problems and save big money.
Having tax issues, it's very scary. I was worried that we would lose our house. When I called Wall & Associates, they were able to meet with me in person, and I never had to talk to the IRS again. It was like this heavy weight was just lifted.
Put a wall between you and the IRS. Wall & Associates has over 30 years of experience dealing with the IRS, and they can help you or your business.
Well, I opened the letter from the IRS, and man, I was shocked. So that's when I decided to call Wall & Associates. They got my levy released within 48 hours.
Call us now for a free consultation. We'll meet with you in person, face-to-face, at an office near you.
Call 800-745-2250. That's 800-745-2250. We solve tax problems.
Time to wake up. I've got a job to do today.
I've got a job to do today.
Don't forget, you've got a job to do today.
Hey, Mom, I got the job. Thanks.
Got the job. Welcome aboard.
Have a good first day at work, Mom.
Your donations to Goodwill fund job training programs right in your community.
Feels good to start fresh, right?
Sure does. And like that, you're a job creator.
Davis came ready with comfortable pink sneakers. At times, she was passionate. Other times, defiant.
She remained standing in her pink sneakers for nearly 11 hours straight in an attempt to block sweeping Republican legislation that would, among other things, ban abortions after 20 weeks of pregnancy.
All right, folks, welcome to Gimme 5. It was little over a year ago, the end of June 2013, when the media went crazy over Wendy Davis, Texas state legislator, who filibustered over, as you just heard, an abortion bill. And the same media that treated Ted Cruz, also from Texas, as a villain for filibustering, treated Wendy Davis as the new queen of Texas politics. Here's more.
Wearing her comfortable pink sneakers because she wouldn't be allowed to sit down for 13 hours. Texas State Senator Wendy Davis took the podium and took a stand.
Her message struck a chord, with the topic "Stand with Wendy" trending on Twitter throughout the night.
The unfolding drama topped the list of worldwide Twitter trends.
And even President Obama tweeted his support to Davis.
Oh, it was so very, very exciting, ladies and gentlemen. And then came the interviews with Wendy Davis once the filibuster was complete.
It has also catapulted you in the political limelight. Will you run for governor or for national office now?
I don't know what the future will hold, but I'm honored to have people talking about that.
But I did hear you say you'd be lying to say that it has crossed your mind about running for higher office, right?
Well, yes, it certainly has, but I don't know if now is the right time for me. We'll see.
Well, there isn't a seat until 2014, right?
Yes.
Senator Davis, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Wendy Davis. And then came the Puff interview with Andrea Mitchell. Actually, Andrea Mitchell defending. You see, there was this problem where eventually Wendy Davis's bio, there were some inconsistencies found. The Dallas Morning News did a report citing various inconsistencies in her life story as stated in her biography as compared to reality. You know, she was portrayed as a single mom who worked her way through law school, did everything herself. Turned out, as I said, reportedly there were inconsistencies, to put it mildly. We have Brent Bozell, who did a great story about it, talking about how Wendy Davis lied and the media yawned. But listen to Andrea Mitchell. Watch Andrea Mitchell.
Wendy Davis, someone we've talked about quite a bit in Texas, running for governor, running for the nomination for governor, the Democratic nomination, and now being forced to answer media reports down there that she had slightly altered her resume or focused on the single mom aspects of it and didn't really give the timeline correctly. You never want to be on the defensive about giving your biography when you're running for office, but this is a careful balancing act also, given her appeal to many women and the fact that she's potentially running against a man.
So I don't even understand that really, but I guess poor Wendy Davis is being forced to defend allegations that she, misled in her bio, and she's a woman running against a male, so that makes it even harder. Why? If you lied, you lied. If you didn't, you didn't. What difference does it make if you're a man or a woman and who you're running against? That aside. You haven't heard much about Wendy Davis lately, though, have you, a year later? That's because she, of course, decided to run for governor, and she's about 12 to 15 points down in the polls. She's being written off. She's been written off for quite some time. Recently, though, Politico tried to put a happy spin on it. As we go to number 25, we'll put it up on the screen, as you could see, and they quote from the Politico story, a Texas Teachers Association public affairs director said, "She learns, she acts, and she gets stuff done." A veteran in Texas politics of Davis who still thinks she could win. She has every skill that is needed to be governor, so I would suspect she would have every skill to pursue a wide range of opportunities. In other words, if she doesn't win as governor, it's still a positive. Wendy Davis is still a woman with a very bright political future. Folks, this was a disaster. And they're still bragging about they're going to turn Texas from a red state to a blue state. But I got to tell you, it's not going to be Wendy Davis that helps in that effort or accomplishes that, because it appears she's out of that gubernatorial race. On the Steve Malzberg Show.